Cool. I know. It's sad to have that little blank spot there. Um, okay. Well, welcome back to Castle Run, our weekly D&D actual play live stream. I'm your DM, Elijah Goodall, pronouns they, them, and we're going to go around since we're kind of at the really this I think this is probably the solid start to our second arc now that you're all traveling through the wilderness. Yeah, season 2. um we kind of had a little like post season 1 few episodes, but we're gonna go around and everyone's gonna introduce themselves real quick and just give a little smidgen about the character they play, and then I'm gonna come up with a question for each of you too to get it started, and then we'll get into it. That you do. um oh, weird. Oh, you know what, that is very odd actually, because the the group audio thing, I can see it right now. It's not. Hold on.
What am I
There we
talking to
go.
myself?
God.
What
Okay.
about right
Now
now?
it's now it's picking up everything.
What about now?
Hello. Can you hear me, Charles?
Yeah, now it's picking up. Now it's picking up all the group audio.
Cool.
Well, I'm glad we caught that.
Should I
now.
re-say everything I just said?
Not the end of.
Nah.
Yeah, probably. No one heard it except us.
Okay,
so.
cool. Well, all right, I'll make it quicker. My name is Sean, and I play Atticus, human fighter, champion, mage slayer, bane of mages, actually. And there's, I guess he can put vampire slayer on his thing now.
2 times over.
Yeah, if it
Atticus
happens
the
more than
Vampire
once,
Slayer.
that means there's like a title in it too. He is the last descendant of an ancient family from the south of the world, and he's a little bit in emotional crisis right now. His whole world's been turned upside down, but usually he's the dad of the group, the happy-go-lucky guy, but not so much anymore. So we'll see what happens. But luckily, he has a great party and a great squire to see him through.
Cool. And tell me, in the early days of Atticus, when he was a child, quite some time ago, what was your favorite? The sunlit afternoons that you would spend in the marshy meadows near Phoenix Manor. What was your favorite creature to catch?
Oh, Atticus for sure loved catching fireflies right on the little swampland. He had a little jar and would definitely catch them. But he was Atticus was like a scaredy cat as a kid. He was a frightened child, so he would like look at it and get scared and like let it go. So and
Love
you
it.
know he caught some frogs every once in a while. You know he has a soft spot for some frogs.
Caught a toad now.
Mm.
Big one.
Big one. All right, cool. That brings us to Fauna.
Hey, I'm Aaliyah, and I play Fauna. Both of our pronouns are she, her. And Fauna is a human, but is sort of cursed. There was a thing with a monster, some stuff happened, and she has horns now, so it's a little adds a little mystique to her character. And she just kind of joined up with this crazy crew after her coven got destroyed, and she's just along for this ride now. She has some things she needs to do, but mostly she's just, I don't know, fell in with some cool cats, and she's just like here to support the group. And I feel like she's kind of become the mom to Atticus's dad of the group, even though she's the youngest one. So, yeah, I think that's it. Oh, and she has a familiar, the cat, who is just her little pal and magical companion.
Let's see. I just had one and I lost it. What?
Oh, Charles says, "What's Fauna's class?" And Fauna's class is witch. It's the
yes.
sort of homebrew class.
We did homebrew a class, yeah. It's kind of it's God. I mean, it's a spell class caster class for sure. Maybe it's the closest to a sorcerer, but not.
I feel like
It's
it's
not even really that
if
close
a
to a
druid
sorcerer.
if a druid had all like sorcerer type approach to spells.
Yeah, kind of. There's a lot of rituals, but not even ritual casting like that, but like actual rituals that we created that sort of create these auras around that you get to choose each day. That are spell effects. You've got a familiar. Most
Just
of your
witch
magic
stuff.
most of your magic is abjuration based. There's some healing magic too, but a lot of it is like protective magic or yeah. Yeah. God, yeah, it's I guess sorcerer and druid are like the two closest that it's combined with. For Fauna, in her younger years living in the Evewood, what was your favorite errand to run that Nerlith would send you on?
I think Fauna's favorite errand would be just when Nerlith would send her out to collect certain ingredients in the forest, like for spells or teas or anything, because I think Fauna's just favorite thing is just to be out in the forest and in nature. And like the errand would be to collect a certain thing, but she'd probably spend a lot longer than it would take just sort of like dinking about in the woods and like playing with the animals and stuff. But yeah, anytime she was kind of just sent out to be like, oh, go pick some like feverfew or, go pick some rosemary or whatever, that was her favorite.
Yeah, I don't think your coven mother ever would have begrudged you that extra time spent in the Evewood either. That takes us to Nyx.
I'm June, and I play Nyx Loon. Both our pronouns are she, they. Nyx is the very, very ancient prime of the Court of Night. They are a shadow elf divine sorcerer. Not a whole lot of them is visible under their like black and gold leather armor. They always have a hood up, like very tight around their face. And when they're fighting, usually a mask over their mouth and nose. But what is visible is darker skin and pretty sharp golden eyes. They were held in a enchanted locket for several years, and only released to be an assassin for the Night Guard and Balak Morgrasp. Party freed them, and they have been trying to recover their memory and I guess recover like personal choice. They've been making a lot of questionable choices lately, but it's their first time in a long time that they've been able to make decisions based off of gut instinct versus orders. And they feel a attachment to the party, mostly because they freed them, but also because of, especially for Perrin, just recovered memories that Perrin is the son of one of their closest friends. So yeah.
Cool. And around the age, this is a moment in Nyx's life that we've never really talked about before. But as your memories start to come back, I think that this is one that would have been a significant one that would be coming back to you. When you were around between the ages of 7 and 8, there was, so this would have been a long time ago. I think in the history of everything, I think it puts it at almost 2,000 years ago.
Which is ironic considering it's arguably one of the only things that they do remember.
Yes. There was a gathering of the courts where your fathers and most of the rest of the Court of Night went on a long pilgrimage to the Rose's Mouth, which is on the western side of the continent of Numenera, far away from your home in the Nightlands. And the pilgrimage took months and months of travel. But during this time, it was your first time ever being outside of the Nightlands. And in the some of the freedom that you had to yourself, I think it would have been at this point, being in the wild, you were safe. You were surrounded by other members of the Court of Night. But I think the wild is full of monsters. And what was the first time as a child that Nyx had to defend themselves on this long pilgrimage?
That's a good question. See, I picture them as like they were a very studious child, but especially while exploring had their like gremlin side came out. So probably had like locate object spell put on them at some point as they're just racing off and getting into trouble. Yeah. And I feel like it had to have been like some kind of wolf or something, especially given traveling at night.
Yeah.
And some kind of night creature. And I feel like she probably would have had to climb up a tree. And I don't know. Yeah, climbed up a tree.
Yeah.
Maybe a branch broke, fell down, and then had to utilize her training for the first time with Wax and Wayne.
Yeah, for sure. I think you would have been given those as like a gift for that very same pilgrimage to the Rose's Mouth on the western side of Numenera. That brings us to Perrin, our Bard Ranger.
Hi, I'm Tyler. I play Perrin, who's our Bard Ranger. Both of our pronouns are he, him. Perrin is gone through a little bit of a transformation recently as he is trying to make sense out of kind of two different lifetimes of memories coming together. Um, he's having to make sense out of years of being used and manipulated and having memory erased and having his motivations altered. And he's just kind of gone through a lot of grieving recently and is now trying to be a more productive member of society. He sees this group as kind of the family that fate has presented him, and so he is trying to do a little better by them, which, predictably, as I play Perrin, means he's not really doing better at all. But it's funny, or it's not funny, and I'll beat the joke into the ground. Yeah. I don't remember what the other question was, but yeah, Perrin is a ranger. He fights with he's Belmont from Castlevania,
Yeah.
but more sober recently.
A lot, yeah. Yeah. Newly sober.
And really well hydrated now.
So well hydrated.
Much better hydrated.
The thing is
Um,
he's so used to having fluid at all times.
Just
Like he's
coursing-
all
coursing through the
So
body.
he's like he's gotta have that blood water content. Book.
Perrin, you've also been around for a while. Around 200 years since you left the Feywilds. How much time during all of that, and I know that a lot of your, that overlaid set of memories that's coming back now has scrambled things a little bit for Perrin. How much time did Perrin spend in the Salt Valley? I mean, this is the only... I guess I shouldn't say the only desert. There's the Black Garden, which is even further to the west of the Salt Valley. But how much time did Perrin spend in the Salt Valley during his 200 years?
Yeah,
spent in
I think
there.
that's an interesting question. Knowing where he has spent time, let's
Yeah.
see here, about 30, 60, 90, call it 120. Yeah, out of like the roughly 200 years he's wandered, he's settled down 4 times-ish for 20 to 35 years, depending on the location, before things go to shit. I think he's passed through. I think Salt Valley, specifically Asparia, Perrin is not huge on cities, and especially not industrialized cities like Asparia, so I don't think that's his go-to. But I think especially the area south of Asparia more. And then I don't know. He's passed through. He's been there. He wasn't terribly surprised when he saw the place. But that's
Yeah.
about it. I don't think he knows it well. I don't think he wanders it strongly. I think he spent a lot of time on the sea, far north, in the Evewood, up by the Blue Pines, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Cool.
Them trees and shit.
Them trees. That takes us to our final Vox.
Hi, I'm Q. I play Vox, both pronouns she, her. Vox is a half elf rogue, pretty young in elf age. And, she is kind of turning a new leaf as well, realizing that she not only has more blood family than she thought, but created this kind of like dysfunctional family that she's going along with, and trying to be a little bit more conscious of people's feelings and maybe not so skeptical of her comrades. Yeah, she's just doing well. She also has Brightburn, a talking rapier, who he's growing on her because she used to be very
You've been
and
letting
by
on a
this
little bit more, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so that's Vox.
For Vox, this is kind of a location-based question too. You grew up in Asparia, the largest, I mean, one of the largest cities in Nemira, the continent, but also certainly the largest city in the Salt Valley. How often, as a child, before you were separated from your family, before the events took place with your uncle, and you were separated from your mother and your other uncle and your father, how often did you leave Asparia? Or would Vox have ever left Asparia?
I think Vox's first time leaving Aspria was to run away from it. Just spent a lot of time there. Definitely begged her dad to let her go with him on missions.
Yeah.
But her mom always kind of held her back and was like, no, 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 we stay here. And also, she was not really allowed to ride horses until she was an adult because of the situation with trying to ride the family friend's dog.
Yeah.
Very little trust for young Vox to not just run away if you turn an eye, she just kind of will disappear.
Yeah. And with that, we're going to get into it because speaking of horses, you are all facing a lot of overland travel.
We have to fight horses?
Yeah, it's going to be a big old horse fight. Having recently left Asparia, a little sooner than I think the party planned on, mostly due to not your conflict with the vampire Mira, but rather to ultimately the killer of Mira, the Mere Knight who had followed you from Palam. Really, in real time, it's kind of wild to think about, like how long we've been doing this campaign, but so much of it does end up being kind of in real time. So just a few days prior was your first encounter with the Mere Knight. And along with the Night Guard, he made that little hop over the river to continue tracking what we found out. Not the group, but attempting to track down Atticus Phoenix, which sooner rather than later in the conflict, it was revealed, Atticus, that the Mere Knight is your once thought deceased father, Armitage Phoenix.
Wait, what?
Can't be true. It's not possible.
You have no idea how many times when I planned that out, I was like, I'm really, yeah. And suit of armor, it all checks out.
I love it.
But after that confrontation, fleeing Asparia, and Atticus, you determined that it was high time that you return to the Southgreen, to your ancestral home, and figure out the roots of what is going on between your lineage, the curse on the Phoenix family, your apparently alive father,
I was
Armitage,
caught
and
alive.
yeah, and the mysterious a skeletal bird entity that visits you in your dreams and sometimes in fire. But here we are. You're outside of Asparia. You've all just had
Which side of Asparia?
You are coming out on the western side of Asparia. So if you look at that map, which would have been a great idea. I didn't even think to do a little map on the overlay, but maybe I will
So we're
next
right
time.
next to this rocky looking thing.
You are, yeah. So if you look at all those canyons in Asparia, you kind of came out to the west. The Salt Valley really is bordered by those cliffs. In order to, get out of the Salt Valley without going farther to the west, you would have to scale that. If you were going straight down, you would have to both scale those cliffs and then also cross the river Atrociles, which is that giant river that kind of cuts through the middle of Nemira and Asparia borders. There are kind of a lot of ways to slice this to get down to the Southgreen. But we discussed outside session, like each one of those little squares on there is I think we said a full day's travel at normal pace. So you are able to cover, if you're going at a rushed pace, which means no stealth checks and disadvantage on perception to notice things, just kind of blazing through, you're able to cover almost 2 of those squares in a day. But at a normal travel, at, kind of taking your time, keeping your perception, being able to do, I think you can do, there's no disadvantage or minus to stealth checks at normal pace either, I don't believe. I think I did the math. I think to get all the way down to Phoenix Manor, which is at the, it's about halfway through the Southgreen, but at the top of that kind of peninsula that juts out at the bottom, I think you're somewhere close to 2 weeks at normal speed. Then it's a full 3 weeks almost to get down to St. Florian.
Small. Oh, I was just going to small clarification question on this map. You had marked Palam as being, or that rock south of Palam as being relevant to the entire party. Was that something that we played out previously, or am I just blanking?
The rock being relevant to the entire party was when you left the Dreadspire, when Amanatari created the portal for you all to leave the Dreadspire and gave you the words, leave, settle your affairs, and return in 3 years and a day. If you remember, you all came out of that portal into a rather mysterious garden where you did in a session meet some kind of important demon that you convinced through a high persuasion check and some consensual choking.
Persuasion.
Both giving you a map and allowing you to leave the gardens, but that was on that really kind of high plateau there.
I just basically between Asparia and there, everybody who was there at that point in time is vaguely familiar with this terrain, at least. Yes,
with that space. If you were to kind of double back, and obviously you don't want to go through the city. It's full of night guard now in the Mirror Night, but you could skirt the city. You would have to scale those cliffs and then cross the river, but you definitely could go straight down that way. Okay. I will kind of tell you, I think both you and Atticus, being very seasoned adventurers on this continent, I'm not gonna make you, I would make you do history checks or survival checks for specific things relating to terrain or location. I'm not going to make you do it to know the general. I think you've tromped your way around this continent enough to sort of know the most feasible paths. That's one of them. Scale the cliffs, cross the river, and head straight south. That's going to, you're going to pass near, within a day or two of Palam again. And also that plateau with the garden on it.
Is that where we met Fauna originally, was Palam?
In Palam, yeah. So
that's where. So there's people who are pissed off at us there too, right?
Yeah. Like we already know there's night guard everywhere.
Right, but we know there's night guard there already, and the city guard I think was upset.
You didn't do anything to offend. You actually only found a few members of the city guard. You didn't really. The night guard, I think, is really the only enemies you've made.
I mean, we butchered like 40 of them, so like.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, but then again, none of them got away. Yeah. Probably.
Atticus is gonna pull out his map, and like kind of everything that's just been kind of said. We're like, I'm just gonna say, Atticus and other members of the party discuss that as well. Like as we're trying to route something out. On my map, is it still just revealing as I go? Do I have like a general idea of where some things might be if I were to like suggest traveling a different way?
I think you have a general idea. So there's the locations, the points of interest that I put on there that were specific to different people, and then also to the party. Obviously, you would know where all of those are. I think that I've put everything on that map. There might be some exceptions in the future where we Perrin's been around for... Nyx has been around for almost 2000, albeit a lot of that time spent trapped inside a jewel, so not wandering the continent, and a lot of that time too that you were outside of the jewel spent in the Nightlands.
This whole time I've been thinking, like, I don't think they've actually done much travel.
Yeah.
And if they have, it's always only been like a couple miles, like within a certain boundary that they were almost like released
For a target,
into.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
don't. You have not tromped around the continent. I think you, obviously, Atticus, you and Perrin are the most seasoned in, particularly your history too, Atticus. You're 1,000 years old. There's probably going to be some stuff that crops up that we like backtrack and say, oh, actually, you did have this experience and there's this thing. For now, this is about as fleshed out as the map is going to be, though. For you to
I'm
sort
presuming
of know.
Atticus and I are both kind of Gandalf from Fellowship of the Ring, where like we sort of know things, but we're also like, I don't remember this specific.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of mysteries in the, and also like, hey, go to a place and then leave it and don't go back there for 50 years, or in Atticus's case 300 years. It's going to change.
I can't remember stuff that happened yesterday. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can give you,
Atticus
if
is-
you want me to, I can give you kind of a general idea of like what you'd be passing through if you took a path other than going straight south.
Let's role play. Yeah.
Yeah.
can I
Find
just ask
out.
a
Cool.
quick question? Just a technical question, kind of.
Yeah.
Does travel by water, is that faster or just the same pace as travel
You would
over
have
land?
to find some kind of a craft. I would say, in
Like if we
this
had a boat.
case, you know what? In this case, because it is specifically also, you would actually, no, you wouldn't be. You would be headed upstream, because the way that the Atrocities flows is from the heart of Namira and kind of that large lake that's in the center of it to that other large lake that is in the north, and then to the sea. So you would actually be fighting the current. So I'm going to say your travel wouldn't
Wouldn't be faster.
be any faster
Okay.
if you got a boat. You certainly could travel by water if you hired a boat or found a boat, and enough
It could
people to
certainly be
crew
more
it.
comfortable. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily
Yeah.
be faster. But
I was
like, we
just
could
curious, like
relax.
speed wise, like
Yeah, I think if you were traveling, I would let you do twice as fast if you were traveling downriver.
Okay.
But in this case, because it's a river, you're fighting a pretty strong current in a river, especially a river this big.
Atticus, what do you think from here? It seems like the little night boys are crossing over, so I think this whole like east side of the continent's fucked.
Yeah. If I recall, I think Imagos is about a week's travel away from here if we cut through the mountains and get on that the river flows right after those cliffs. So
Right.
I would say we should probably head that way. How do y'all feel about that?
I'm just here to follow you and get to where we need to go. I've never really
yeah,
been anywhere.
same. I haven't really seen a lot of the country, so I leave it to you to determine our direction and our path.
Did you just say that it was fucked, Aaron? Fucked is a strong word.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like there was all the like Palam had all the things going on with the night guard coming through, and then there were those horses that we stole, and then that giant cave full of them. And
Yeah.
now they're here in Asparia. Oh, I mean, everyone who lives there is fine, probably, except for the ones who are captives or prisoners or dead. Everyone else is probably fine, though.
Great. Fine.
So nobody.
Nix, are you okay cutting through some mountainsides, taking the road less traveled?
Road less traveled sounds better to me as long as you know where you're going. But I mean, we've trusted your judgment this far.
I mean,
So
calling
far, you
it the
haven't
road less
led us
traveled.
too much astray.
It's not even really a road. It's mostly dirt. It's the dirt less traveled.
Facts.
The
Correct.
brush less traveled.
Yeah. I think we're gonna head south. We're gonna head through that mountainside, or through the mountains on the side of it.
Does anybody need anything before we leave the house? It's
You
usually
have
well
fill up your
stocked
water
with
skin.
provisions and things.
Yeah. Atticus is going to fill up a water skin, and I think I have a week's ration, so I think I'm good.
Yeah, technical question. How are we doing the rations and
So what I want to do is, I'm gonna have survival checks be made. I would imagine that the person you want making those survival checks is Perrin. Um,
My
anyone that wants
class
to,
matters.
yeah, can help Perrin, giving him advantage on those survival checks. The survival checks, what I'm going to do is just have you basically make a survival check a day. It's going to determine a lot of things. It's going to determine like how well you're able to eat. It's going to determine how good of a spot you find to camp. Like, is it kind of defensible? Does it seem safe? Is it out wide, like out in the open? Um, Obviously, like any checks that are at least decent, they're going to net you everything that you would leave, and you're going to be in a reasonable location for camp, things like that. If a check even with advantage ends up being spectacularly bad, there will probably be some not so great results that come from that, and I'll probably at the time of that roll then decide whether that's like, depending on the area you're traveling through, whether that's a shortage in being able to find food, whether that means you're camping out in the middle of the open in an unadvisable location. But we're just going to kind of play it fast and loose like that.
I love it.
And then I think depending too on those survival checks, that might influence kind of, I'm going to make, actually, you know what? It'll be a lot more fun. I think that I will pick, we're going to do two luck checks a day, I think is how we're going to run it. And I'll just pick like some of you at random to do those luck checks. One for like first half of the day, one for the second half of the day. And those survival checks will probably change the parameters of like what the luck check means too, and how, yeah, depending on whether they're high or low, what that means. Basically the luck check is just going to be encounters, whether it's wild animals, monsters, people. Even in this case, I put, just to kind of go back to the map again real quick, I put the big cities on here, I put towns, and then I put smaller villages. Villages are still like 1,000 to 3,000 people though. You're gonna run into like even smaller, like little, you're going to run into place where sometimes it's just like a couple hundred people that are all gathered together in maybe a little farming community, or, or maybe something on a day's travel away from one of the bigger cities. And so that's going to kind of factor into the luck check too for encounters.
Given the route you're thinking of here, Atticus, you said you want to go over the mountains. Should we, the trail, should we try and secure some horses on the way? Will they be able to pass?
Bit steep, I think, for horses.
Yeah, I think we'll have to huff it on foot for the most part. But if Atticus like does this, he kind of like looks and like he's doing math in his head. He was never really good at math. He's like, it should be like, if I recall, Imago should be about 5 to 6 days away from here. So I think we won't really. Maybe we can get horses after that. I can't recall if there's anything along the way really, but as we get closer, I'm sure there's going to be some sort of travel we could acquire. But I think that first part is probably going to be the hardest part.
Yeah. I will also tell you just a little bit more information to confirm, because you would also know this, Atticus. Travel by horse, because Salt Valley is a desert. There's bristle brush here and there and things like that, but water very scarce. Going down into Imagos, you're kind of transferring from the Salt Valley into the Black Garden, which the Black Garden is an even harsher desert, and the Black Garden kind of starts, to the west of Imagos. Taking horses through there, you could speed up your travel, but the amount of water that the horses are going to it's going to make your survival checks higher. And unless you're really pushing the horses, you're not necessarily going to go any faster. And then if you're pushing the horses, so if horses is something that you're interested in, you're not wrong. Like picking those horses up in Imagos is probably a much wiser idea. And so sort of doing this first, like almost week of travel to Imagos without horses is probably going to work out better. And then if you want to speed it up.
Yeah, Atticus is going to reiterate that to Nyx and say, I think our best bet is to secure faster travel once we get to a new city. But I think this first part's going to be just huffing it.
Sounds like sound judgment.
Let's just make our way out of here, though, because I'm still very uncomfortable by deserts, especially open like this. Although I do wish we had Betsy with us. It would have been great.
As they walk, Atticus is like egging Vox on, like, tell them how we met. Tell the people that weren't in that that place how we came across you.
I'm just, stuck in the middle of a desert with Betsy. Betsy was wonderful, though fairly odd. She was stunning. Camel stilettos. Stilettos really, really added to the mystique of her. But damn, would she come in real?
Did you say camel?
Yeah, she's a camel with stilettos on. I never really thought to ask. I was more worried about Perrin coming back for me to get me out of that damn desert. And then Perrin
that camel was beautiful. I'll tell you what, silky smooth voice as well.
Feet, the stiletto, like, did the camel have stiletto hooves, or was the camel actually wearing stiletto shoes?
To ask.
I was too afraid. I just complimented. I didn't get a good look, but I don't know where they bought those.
In the desert, golly.
That was right before we met you.
Yeah, right before Bert. Wow, what a weird time this has been. Very weird.
I feel like it's just been one thing to the other. It's kind of like Atticus is gonna kind of like look out at the sky and be like, it's just kind of nice to like be able to breathe for a second. Like, I know there's a lot going on, but it's kind of nice to put one foot in front of the other and not really have to think about anything till we get closer down south.
Hey, be careful on these rocks; they're loose.
Yes, Atticus, as you say this about having space to breathe, a lot of you do. I mean, it is the open desert. The Salt Valley is not as hot and as deadly as the Black Garden. And because you're kind of traveling along these cliffs too, you are able to, at least for that first half of the day, find spaces where there's shade. It's not terribly unpleasant. There's the occasional wind that picks up and, scatters. Everything is going to be full of sand after this first portion of the journey.
Nyx has their mask up just to like protect against it, even though.
But like any desert, the gorgeous wide open blue sky with just a few little white wisps of cloud that kind of cycle quickly through, wide open. And this is gonna be the first survival check for the day. So go ahead, Perrin, and then whoever wants to is going to be Perrin's assistant for the day to navigate, find rations, help set up camp. Whoever wants to volunteer can give Perrin advantage on that roll.
Will roll. I have pretty decent survival.
No,
Yeah, there you go.
I do as well.
Yeah.
Dirty 20.
Okay. Dirty 20. It's a pretty good way to start off the journey. I think on a dirty 20, I'm not even going to make you roll athletics to get through these cliffs. On a dirty 20, Perrin, you're able to find a path, and albeit sometimes at a pretty sharp incline, you're able to find a path that cuts through these cliffs. Your first day of travel is going to be like getting through kind of, essentially, the Salt Valley is an enormous valley, so it's not even necessary that you're going through cliffs. You're scaling the sheer sides of this valley, but you're able to find a path that cuts up and through.
I feel like everyone sees Perrin kind of like his stature, like he's walking with confidence, and he's kind of like checking in with everybody and walking ahead and coming back and like pointing out different facets of the slope that they're on, and it's just generally big dad energy, I guess. So he's very much just kind of checking in with everybody, like, maybe a little over fussy, but like not condescendingly, but he's like adjusting a few straps here and there and making sure that everybody's kind of like locked in and comfortable, because if you leave that loose, I know it's more comfortable, but like at the end of the day it's gonna chafe, so like we're gonna tighten that up just a little bit if you don't mind.
Fauna's like listening to all his advice very closely because she's never really like been. I mean, she knows nature stuff.
It's her
but she's
first
never
backpacking
really,
trip.
Yeah, she never survived.
With Dad.
In fact, before she left the house, she like picked up a book off the bookshelf that's a little tiny like pocket book, and it's like a wilderness survival guide, and she's like looking things up in her book, like as Perrin is like teaching her things.
Yeah.
Atticus is just straight bouldering like a child.
Atticus is no doubt just plowing through everything on his own, but like Bert especially, but like everybody's kind of like, this isn't really their normal thing. I feel Amos probably too is kind of flitting ahead and helping.
I think Amos is being kind of careful. I mean, one of the few animals that your counter regular is gonna be big birds of prey or scavengers. So
yeah.
Amos is not too eager to flit
Low to the
high
ground.
up into the sky
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Is able to check pathways and.
Yeah.
I think Nick's like recognizing like they're out of their element and just kind of trusting Perrin and Atticus to lead drifts into the one thing that like they can feel useful in, which is like rear guard and protection at the back.
Cool.
And just keeping an eye on everyone.
Yeah.
I hate to break the pattern, by the way, but also never mind. I'll do it later. It's fine.
Cool. You'll break the thing later.
Yeah.
I think too, Atticus, is you are like just, tall boulders in a single bound. Bert, hold on, I'm gonna make a little athletics check for Bert, because that's a natural 3 on the die. Bert tries to follow you over the first couple and kind of like just after the second one just absolutely eats it, tumbles down, like puts even a small little ding in his helmet when he falls head first on the other side of the boulder, and after that just kind of sticks to following behind Perrin.
I feel like Perrin like makes the distinct choice to not acknowledge that Bert fell down, but like very quietly, if somebody's nearby, Perrin just mutters like, "Bert, you dumb bitch."
Atticus stops and like he's like, all right, buddy, like this is gonna help you grip, and he like grabs sand and makes him rub like sand in his hand, almost like chalk, and be like, it's gonna help you with your grip. And
it's so gritty. All right, I mean, I'll give it a shot.
Rub it in deeper.
Well, it kind of will.
Way you remember your mistakes.
Listen to your uncle. I mean, listen to Perrin.
Oh boy, a toad in the desert. I tell you what.
All right, so you're gonna notice because we're traveling west, the way that the sun is rising here, we don't want to travel in direct sunlight. So we're gonna travel on the south side now, and then when the sun flips over, we'll switch over to the north side. That way, we're conserving water as best as possible.
Kind of relaying this dad information throughout the journey. I'm gonna have a few things happen on this first day. Survival check at 20. It's pretty good. Go ahead. We're just gonna kind of do it in sequential order. Atticus, I'm gonna have you make me the first luck check for the day, and then after that, unless it's why don't we see what it is first before you get to the second one.
That's a natural 1.
No.
Okay. Okay.
The hubris of Atticus bouldering.
Atticus just took too loud of steps.
Yeah. Okay. Fauna, go ahead and make me the second luck check for the day.
6. Oh wait, forgot how to play this game. Wait.
Is the luck check just flat?
Oh, is it? Okay, it is.
Yeah, just a flat check.
Okay.
D20 roll.
I've literally started to do that, and then I second guessed myself and was like, wait, I should look at my sheet. 16.
16. Okay. 16 is pretty good. And then In addition, for the day, everyone go ahead and make me a perception check. And Nick, since you kind of said rear guard, like that's your thing for the day is key, I'm going to let you make that perception check with advantage.
15.
Cool.
13.
18.
14.
22.
Okay. Atticus, what was your perception check one more time? Did you got above a 10?
Yeah,
Right.
18.
Oh, great. Cool. Second highest one. Okay. I'm going to tell you a few different things. For the entire group, I think particularly for you too, Fauna, the cat following in your footsteps is keeping himself busy catching little lizards. He gets a couple tails before they get away into holes and catches one. It doesn't kill, but he does, play with it a little bit before he bats it away, and it just absolutely scrambles for the nearest hole underneath a rock. In addition to all these little elements of fauna, the birds of prey, small lizards, here and there, you'll see a little desert mouse come scurrying out and then flip back into some scrub. There is a particular wildflower. I think all 5 of you, Atticus, I think in your travels through the Salt Valley, you've seen this flower before here too and never thought that much of it. Same with you, Parrot. Like the flower it's not out of place in the Salt Valley. As long as you can remember, the Salt Valley has always had these flowers. Atticus, you remember. Well, go ahead and make a history check for me, actually.
$13.
Okay. On a 13, you remember a time centuries ago when the Salt Valley was not the scrub desert that it is now. There was a time when the Salt Valley had almost, we'll call them rivers of very fertile soil that would kind of carve through the red sand. So the Salt Valley used to be a place where crops, farmland was, maybe it wasn't full of it, but it was very present. And over the last couple centuries, that is all dried up. There's not really there's no farmland left in the Salt Valley. It is all this scrub desert. These flowers, though, have always been present. They were there back when there was farmland in the Salt Valley, and they are still here now. On that 18 perception check, and Fauna, you're also going to notice this too as you go to kind of like pick up the cat after he's worried a particular lizard a little bit too much for you to feel comfortable about. You can clearly see that this thing is suffering. Both of you are going to notice that, these flowers, they're wildflowers, almost like black poppies, kind of these, an asymmetrical little petal formation. They kind of continue to fold in on each other. It's maybe about 9 or 10 petals per flower. And they tend to grow in little clusters, sometimes along other little bunches of small grass and things like that. You notice at the base of these flowers, there are small little clusters of this quartz. It almost appears it seems to have smoky. It almost seems to, like smoky quartz, it almost has these little clouds suspended in the quartz that kind of shift anywhere in color from being a darker gray to almost the same color as the sand, like a bright red. Anything throughout the day, you notice that you only see these little quartz clusters at the base of places where you find usually a larger amount of these flowers. Fauna, I'm going to say specifically because you mentioned that little guide that you had. As a witch, knowing the local flora and fauna I think would be important, and so in a small guidebook that you would find in a coven, I think it's going to list some of the maybe more significant or magical flora and fauna in environments that aren't your home, that aren't the Evewood. And in the section that talks a little bit about the Salt Valley, it mentions these flowers. And the common name for them is night gazer. But you see in the margins of this guide, there's also written just in hand. It looks like I'll make you check for this. You know what Nerlith's handwriting looked like. She's your coven mother. She raised you. You see in Nerlith's handwriting next to night gazer, there is also another name given to these flowers, and it is Oracanthus, which is spelled like aura, A-U-R-A, and then C-A-N, thus, Oracanthus. The little section that it has on these flowers is that they are ancient, and while they've been around Namira a long time, they are not native to Namira. It doesn't say where they first belonged to, but they, not an invasive species, but something that did not evolve here in the Salt Valley or even on the continent of Namira. And they're fairly potent when it comes to their magical properties. And that's mostly due to the fact that essentially those quartz clusters that you find created around the contain latent magical energy. And whatever soil these flowers are planted in, over time, they tend to condense the raw materials that they're given through their root systems and create, out of the soil that they're planted in, these crystals. And that's what you find in your little guidebook about them. I think before we kind of get to the I guess there's a couple things left to happen in the day. But before we do those, Nyx, I want you to make me a history check too.
Just while Jude's doing that, I think Fauna's gonna start like a little collection of. So I picture like she has a satchel, and I picture it bandolier style with sample bottles down the strap.
Cute.
So she's gonna harvest a little bit of the night gazer flower with the crystals in, and then put it in one of the bottles. She's
Go
gonna
ahead.
start a little.
Yeah, go ahead to harvest it. Go ahead and give me a survival check, and I'm gonna let you do it with advantage because foraging is something that you are very good at.
I got a dirty 20 on that history check, but
Okay.
Nyx is very attracted to like the black poppy flower and kind of this fascinating thing in otherwise somewhat barren desert. Like, hey, Fauna, what are these? Does your book say anything about them?
Yeah, it says it's a night gazer flower. It actually collects latent magical energy. That's like what the little crystals are. And she's gonna like hold up the bottle so Nyx can see it up really close.
Yeah, Nyx is like, kind of tapping the glass. Like,
Yeah.
can you use these for anything?
I don't know. I'll have to do some more research.
They're gorgeous.
They've been around the Salt Valley forever. I mean, believe it or not, this used to be lush Greenland and rivers flowing through here, but that all went away. But these little suckers have been here for as long as I could remember.
They seem so delicate to be so resilient to survive in this harsh climate.
Oh yeah, no. The main reason why the flowers can survive is because they have just an indomitable spirit. They don't stop beleafing.
God damn!
I don't know why that's funny, but it is.
It's because we're best flower buds forever. That was worse.
I liked you more when you were drinking, I think.
Okay, bloomer.
Nix is very unused to humor and thinks that this is hilarious. Like, dad jokes just get them. So they're unashamedly chuckling at all of these.
Make sure when we take a break, everybody uses the bathroom. You don't want to wet your plants.
Don't you want to wet your plants?
Perrin, you hear Bert whispering under his breath as he kind of like walks by you a little ahead. You ain't gotta know when to quit.
I got a nat 20 on the harvesting roll.
Ooh.
Ooh, okay.
On my second, on my advantage roll, I did.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna give you. This is you didn't do an Arcana roll. I'm going to give you some you're a witch, and on a nat 20 survival check to do some foraging, I'm going to give you a little bit of magical info. You think go ahead and roll. We're just going to call it a D10. Go ahead and roll a D10 for me.
Four.
Cool.
You're right. Yeah, I think that was the right one.
So go ahead and put 4 of these little crystals down in your inventory. On a nat 20, I'm just going to tell you straight out, you can tap into the energy of these crystals, and tapping into the energy of one of these crystals can restore a single first level spell slot.
Ooh, sweet.
You can combine, like if you were to say take all 4, like draw in the energy of all 4 of these at once, you could restore that many levels. So you could restore a 4th level spell slot, or a 3rd level and a 1st level, or 4 first levels, however you want to split it. But yeah, these crystals have latent magical energy in them, and you're able to draw, I think, on the successful harvest check. Also, I will say, you realize as you're harvesting, it is very difficult. You were able to do it being a witch and being familiar with how to harvest. It is not an easy, like, you couldn't just run through the desert and scoop up handfuls of these and then be on your way with a bunch of, it is not an easy thing. And it is kind of a laborious task that you're able to, sort of, you'll fall behind a little bit with the group working on harvesting one and then catch up and then harvest your next. But it takes time and care, and a very knowledgeable hand to properly harvest these things. So they're not easy thing, but on a nat 20, yeah, you get 4 of them. Nyx, on a dirty 20 for your history check, you're chuckling at the dad jokes. You're looking, kind of, Fauna left you not with one of the crystals, but just one of the, the blooms. As you're looking at it, it triggers a memory. And we're not going to go back into it. We're not going to do a flashback or anything here, but it was a memory tied to your your pilgrimage from the Nightlands to the Rose's Mouth, which was a place of power, or a seat basically for the Court of Flowers on the far western end of Namira, on the other side of what is now the Black Gardens. But the Black Garden was not always the desert that it is. When you traveled through it, it was a hundreds of miles wide, lush, verdant garden for as far as the eye could see in any direction. And at the far end of that was the Rose's Mouth, kind of this a large kind of monolithic natural formation that came out of the earth. Part of the Rose's Mouth is above ground, the other part is underground, but all of it was also a garden, even the underground part. So the underground part being filled more with like phosphorescent moss, fungi, things like that. I think out of all the points in your journey, certainly traveling through what is now known as the Black Garden would have been the most beautiful and the most different from what you were used to in the Nightlands. There were a lot of things that happened during this gathering of the courts, a lot of things that went over top of your head as a now almost 9-year-old child. There were a lot of political talks and a lot of boring days spent just kind of wandering around. There were not a lot of, like, the other children had never seen a shadow elf before. And I think in the beginning they were probably a little more hesitant to spend time with you, and you found yourself kind of ostracized from the other children. And there was an event about 2/3 of the way through the gathering that made your time there much more difficult and strained. Of the members of the Court of Flowers, there were a lot of knights there, a lot of royalty. Of these, there were three siblings. Those siblings were, on that 20, you're going to remember their names, and you remember them because the names were significant because of the events that followed. But the names were, God, I'm going to forget him if I don't look, or I'm going to say him wrong. There was, sorry, let me look at my timeline. That's going to give me the right names.
Nix, you notice your memory grows fuzzy suddenly.
Your memory
you feel
grows
the need
fuzzy
to
on
reference
names.
documents.
Hey man, I can't remember names to save my own life currently, much less thousands of years ago. So
there it is. The first being the sister of the siblings, Erlantris. The second being the middle sibling, and they were known as Oracanthus. And the third being the brother, whose name was Oracastris. Shortly after one of the feasts that took place during this time, there would be a lot of political debate and back and forth. All the courts are gathered here talking about power, who will rule what, and what is allowed and where. A lot of these tended to be bookended by feasts to relieve a lot of the tension that would come up during those discussions. One night after the feast, acting on their own volition, no part of the Court of Night, a an outlier assassin from the Court of Night murdered the middle sibling, Oracanthus of the Court of Flowers, the sibling to Oricastris and Erlantris. With it, it was a public event. When the murder took place, the assassin wasn't able to escape and they were immediately captured on the spot. There was also a lot of witnesses to what occurred. And with their dying breath, Oracanthus made a gift. The gift of the Night Gazer, taking the last of their magic and pressing it into the hand of one of your fathers, Nyx. They created a pact meant to be an offering of peace between the two courts. Oracanthus, knowing that what happened, that the assassin was an outlier, that it was not some grand plan of the Court of Night to have them murdered, they created the Night Gazer, also known as the Oracanthus. And this flower was then planted and spread throughout the gardens, and then even as far as eventually the Salt Valley. And that's what you get on a 20 history, is this memory of where this flower came from.
While studying the blossom that Fauna gave them, and this memory hits, they just, their fingers grow so much gentler on it, and just kind of treasure it for a moment. And I think walk up to Fauna and kind of stay with Fauna while she's harvesting. And I knew an Oracanthus once when I was a kid. Matter of fact, I think these are a part of him. And she'll relay that story to Fauna. Could you show me how you're harvesting these?
Yeah, I was gonna say Fauna was just gonna give you some, but if I show Nyx how to harvest them,
I would
Nyx
let
be able
you
to then
give
harvest them?
Nyx advantage on a survival check to try and harvest their own.
Okay. Yeah,
Even if they can't even do it, they just want to learn.
Yeah, let me show you how I do it. Also, you asked me before about them, and I think that I'm pretty sure they can replenish your magical energy for casting.
I mean,
if you use the crystals.
From what I remember, it's part of him. It's part of his soul and his magic, and feels like an honor. And we'll roll my survival check.
Yeah, go ahead and do it with advantage because of fun.
Sweet, because that sucked. That was even worse. That's a 7.
7 total.
Yeah.
Okay. You are not able next to get any of the crystals. Even on the 7, though, I think you are able to perfectly at least cut off one of the flowers from the stem. And yeah, you hold it in your hand.
Can I see any kind of way that it's like surviving off of? Is it like nurtured off of, water and normal photosynthesis, or is it like nurtured off of magic? Like,
I think on a 7 survival, you just
okay.
I'll let you make a nature check with disadvantage to try and determine that.
Just want to see if I can like keep the blossom alive for however long as possible versus it like withering in a couple minutes. But disadvantage, you said nature?
Yeah.
Okay. First one was a 14. Got the same roll again. 2 14s.
Okay. On a 14, it's you harvest. It's not. There's no way to keep it alive. It is feeding off the nutrients in the soil as well as sunlight.
Cool.
You think also it's made with also some magic from the Court of Night. So maybe also moonlight. Maybe this is a night blooming flower as well. They are called night gazers. But you could certainly, if you hang it upside
Nick's
down,
is just gonna
it will dry and
treasure
preserve.
it, yeah.
Yeah, it will dry and preserve. Very well.
They're going to slip it into between the pages of their royalty cake cookbook that they stole from the library.
Cool. Perfect.
And press it in between that.
Fauna's
All right,
going
water breaks
to
over. We're gonna keep moving.
just a second. Fauna just really quickly is going to separate one of the specimens that she collected with the full thing with the crystal into a separate little bottle and say, like, here, take one of mine, when she saw that Nyx, like, didn't successfully harvest
Cool.
it.
All right, yeah.
Atticus,
Let's go ahead
are
and add
you
that. You've got a crystal now too.
you all right? You kind of took a little slip there.
Yeah, I mean, I just haven't. I think we just haven't gone on rough terrain in a while. I haven't like climbed and scaled anything in a while. So
Yeah, you took your climbing skills for granted.
Again, I think I liked you more when you drank.
From the back, Nyx is chuckling.
Fauna's just
All right,
rolling her
Pax
eyes,
on.
like, oh, Dad.
It is you are getting into the second half of the day now. Water break is over. You all continue to travel on through the cliffs. On the 18 and the 22 perception, Atticus and Fauna, that you got earlier, as you are getting ready to go, you notice it's pretty far in the distance. You think, based off the rate that you've been going, and you're kind of glimpsing it through the cliffs, there are other pathways that cut through these cliffs too. Some of them dead end. None of them are probably going to be as successful as the one that you're traveling on that Perrin found. You, in the distance, see a group of about five people. It's hard to tell from this distance. You know, several hours away at least. It looks like another party headed somewhere through the cliffs. It's they are dressed. I will say that you can make out that they are dressed for travel through the desert, probably even better so than your group. A couple hours away on a different path, you're able to glimpse another party straggling through the cliffs as well.
Atticus would do this. He's just gonna give a friendly wave.
Yeah.
Were you
Howdy.
waving at?
Fox is gonna slap his head and be like, God damn it, Atticus.
What?
What
They
you-
seem.
No.
They just look like little dots right now. They're fine.
No,
Little
God.
dots. Okay.
Your friend is gonna be with us.
Hey, you never know.
Yeah. You see, there's, a couple hours away. They're so far away. I think, Atticus.
Oh, sorry. Howdy.
Yeah. It echoes through the canyons, and I do think after a moment you do see the group kind of stop, and you do see one of them towards the back, kind of like just of the individuals, just sort of like raise their hand and give a wave back before the party continues on.
Yes, they seem friendly.
Fauna
Are they
on
ahead of us or parallel to us? So,
they're a little further behind you. So, if you're looking
but
back,
on a
they're
separate path.
on a separate path. You're able to kind of like glimpse them in the distance through the crags of these cliffs that you're traveling through. Fauna, on that 22, I will say you kind of narrow in, and you are able to make out the one in the back that gives a wave. Looks to be some kind of looks to be some kind of giant. It's probably about at least 9 feet tall, which is a couple feet taller than Banath, the orc that you kind of all, at least some of you, befriended and left back in Asparia. They have kind of bright green skin, enormous build. Yeah, I think it's your first time probably ever seeing a hill giant.
It's taller than Atticus.
By almost a good 3 feet. Yeah. This figure is massive.
Fauna would be like, Atticus, that one's taller than you. She's like really impressed because Atticus seems really tall to her.
That I don't know what I'm looking at. I see a big green blob out there. Is that
It looks like a giant.
A giant?
I think so. I've never met one.
Oh, one of my best friends was a giant, and they're great. They're a good time. I'll tell you that much. Just don't piss them off.
How to climb, Atticus?
What was
tall.
That? Climbing up a giant. Is that how you learned how to climb?
No, but I have climbed a giant.
God damn.
Based off of your last little tumble there, I'd say a giant climbed you.
What are you all insinuating? Okay, we grew up where we are going. You will see, there are giants all over the place. Actually, one family is very good allies of the Phoenix family, and some of my best friends came from that family. So I don't know what you're insinuating, but they are friendly people. And when I was a kid, I would climb up them and stuff. Like, I don't know what you're all dirty.
Friendly climbing, Atticus.
Why are you this defensive?
I don't know. Maybe because he's like kicking a rock. Like, been too free with my information before. Shut up. Let's just keep moving. My God.
And as the party continues throughout the second half of your day, by the end of the day, you come out on the other side of these cliffs. You're through it. At the base, you're able to find a spot. I think here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna allow kind of you all to make this decision as a party. On your 20 survival check, Perrin, you would know that most likely the safest place to set up camp would just be, you're coming out of these cliffs. Right in front of you is a little branch off of the river Atrociles. I say little, but that's only because the river Atrociles is massive. It's more than half a day to cross the river Atrociles. So this little branch is still a sizable river. Where you come out, you're at the foot of these cliffs, or I guess rather kind of at the foot of these cliffs. You can set up camp with the cliffs at your back and kind of the river right there at your front. If you were to get into a scrap, an easily defensible spot, or you can try and push it, and you would be crossing the river like during the end. By the time you get to the other side, you'd be setting up camp in the dark.
So we're where that small fork is taking off of the larger chunk of the river. We're on that pocket right there. Yeah, I think Perrin is going to keep his eyes open for like a craggy kind of pocket further up, so that they can set camp in that little kind of nestled in a pocket, and he can keep eyes out on the valley around them.
And then cross the river the next day.
Yeah,
like in the morning.
I don't think I mean, as far as I can tell, there's not any specific reason for the party to feel like rushed. We're in a hurry because we have a point, but I think most of the decisions we're making right now are not, let's try to get as much done in one day. It's mostly about like preserve resources, travel safely, don't get injured.
Mm-hmm. Here's what I will also say. You pick a great little spot. You are also, I know everyone wants to get their natural camp on. You are leaving the Salt Valley, it's still going to kind of be scrubland that you're in, traveling the rest of the way to Amagos. You know, water is more scary unless you decide to follow the curve of the river Atrocities there, in which case, you know, it's going to be a little closer to like kind of that like where grassland meets scrubland. I will say that leaving the Salt Valley, though, this is the area that, you know, the Sisters of the High Sun, the coven that Inara is the coven mother of, this is her domain, and she gave you leave, Fauna, to summon the spirit house here to this place also, and have it be a safe home for you. Once you cross that little branch of the river, you're going to be leaving the Salt Valley, at which point you won't be able to summon the spirit house again until you are either back in the Salt Valley or in a forest somewhere. So I will say, you know, along with being safe in the spirit house does also give you buffs. So this would be the last night and then the following day that you could use it if you wanted to.
Oh, right, because it like actually gives us extra stuff that I feel like I didn't tell
The
you
following
about
day.
before.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell everyone the benefits that they get?
Yeah. Okay. How about this? Fauna would be like, "Hey, I think this is the last night on this part of the journey that I could probably summon the house. Like, do we want to stay there?" And then she'd probably tell them about like the bonus extra stuff that she just forgot because she was tired. I don't know the last time.
Yeah.
The main thing is that anyone who takes a long rest in the house receives the effects of lesser restoration spell and may roll a 1d6 and add the results to any attack roll, ability check, or saving throw once before the following midnight.
So basically it gives everyone a bardic inspiration.
Yeah. And then there's also another one that's like a similar thing where I can choose somebody and they can make re-roll the check if they want.
Yes. Wait, let me.
But do I have to determine that person ahead of time, or
let me read my to
like when we leave the house?
Remind myself what I was tapping into with that, because I don't think it was a divination thing.
Says,
I think it was
once per day you may choose one person who's currently within the spirit house. Once before midnight, when they make an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw, they may choose to re-roll the check before the results are announced. If they are making the roll with advantage or disadvantage, they can choose which die to re-roll. The target may choose instead to replace an opponent's ability check, attack roll, etc., with their own.
So you do Yep. So basically what this does, you do have to choose the person. You can't wait till the next day and then choose it when it seems good. So you have to pick ahead of time. Essentially what it's going to do is it's going to give someone inspiration. So even if you're rolling with advantage or disadvantage, you could choose which die to re-roll. So it's like, even if you already have advantage on a roll, it would still let you re-roll one of those die.
You get another one.
Yeah, totally. But you do have to pick a person. Yeah.
Which I didn't do before, so we'll just it's nighttime almost.
Yeah,
anyway, so we won't worry about that.
Yep.
But do we want to stay in the house?
It's up to the party. This is the last night that you can before you start.
I'm say I can sleep in a bed tonight. Yeah.
You can still like make it invisible and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Be really nice to get out of this heat and sun.
I don't know who would say no to a warm bed.
Just checking. Didn't want to, overstep. But
I did want to pitch to the party. I mean, I know that the light of the sun was necessary while we were crossing through the mountains, but if we're just trekking through desert for the next perceivable future, would it be better to do it at night? I mean, depending on
season, it's not terribly hot.
What's the moon
right
phase? It would depend on if there's enough moonlight or not.
You would be
also that
2 days into the waxing moon. So not a crazy amount of light.
Yeah, probably not enough.
Yeah.
If we were gonna stay, like tracking northwest from here and staying in the Salt Valley, fine. But we're close enough to the river at this point. Like we're okay on temperature. We're okay on fresh water, and I think in general we're gonna want to be able to see our surroundings more. The thing I'm most worried about is somebody slipping and hurting themselves. Somebody's in pursuit of us right now. Probably.
Fair enough. You can see Nyx looks like a little disappointed because they've been miserable this entire time in sun and heat and sand. But they're like, yep, you're all normal people. This makes sense.
Yep.
I mean, sun and heat and sand is not the best combination for normal people, too.
Cool. So if you're going to take the Spirit House the last night that you can,
Yeah.
Go ahead, everyone. You get that bardic inspiration for your long rest in here. Fun if you want to
Doing
pick
some
someone.
magic stuff.
Yeah, if you want to pick someone to take that
You should
favored
keep
one.
it as a secret. No, wait, that doesn't make sense.
You kind of need to know, I guess.
Yeah, you would. If you do want to keep it a secret in this sense, you could. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could
You can
write the
text
name
somebody.
down. Yeah, you could text them. Yeah.
So they know.
DM the person so nobody else knows. That's the
What?
flavor I
Why
wanted.
does
That's
it-
the thing I wanted.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Do we want to, before we start our next day, do we want to take our quick break?
Yeah.
Quick. All right, let's do
Immediate.
it.
Yes.
Yep. All right, let's do it.
I-
We'll be back. We'll be back in 10.
Okay.
go. Okay. Start of day 2.
Perrin spent the night inspecting his gloves and making sure that he understands how they work, and because it's a long rest, he understands the magical properties of those gloves now.
You do. You are attuned to them. Perrin, I will tell you, these gloves, they're going to, they're not going to, there's, specifically for handling the Ornament of Rights. So they're not going to give you a bonus to armor class or anything like that. But what they will do is anytime you're using the Ornament of Rights using its range, so if it's an attack that's more than 5 feet away, basically anytime you're extending the chain on that thing, and then the chain is running through those gloves, this helps give you a lot more control of that chain and a lot more accuracy. Anytime you're doing this, you're going to be able to make those attack rolls at a range with the Ornament of Rights as if you had the feat Elven Accuracy just for that, just for ranged attacks with that weapon, which essentially lets you re-roll a die. And the really cool thing about that is even if you have advantage on the attack, it still lets you re-roll one of the advantage die too. So essentially it's a way to almost get double advantage. But even in instances where you don't have advantage, you roll, you don't like the roll, you can re-roll it. The only thing is with Elvenet, you do have to take the new re-roll. So it's not quite like advantage where you could take the best of 2 rolls. You have to take whatever you re-roll. But that's what it gives you.
That was a good sleep.
Yeah, now that you're attuned to them, obviously you can take them if there was a reason you wanted to take them off. I mean, they're not cumbersome or anything. They're small, fingerless leather gloves. You can take them on and off at will and still be attuned to them when you put them back on. Yeah. I will tell the group now, you're on day 2 of your travels. The next thing you have to do is ford this river. So Perrin, I'm going to have you make your survival check for the day, but then in addition to that survival check, in order for everyone to successfully ford the river, you are all going to have to make your own athletics checks to ford the river. Whatever Perrin's survival check is, the higher it is, the easier the athletics checks are going to be, because it means you're going to find a better spot to get across the river, essentially. So
do we have to ford? There's no like bridges nearby or like ferries or anything?
You know what?
I feel like we'd
Let's see how high the survival check is.
Yeah, we could find like an off-record like smuggler, but I feel like Perrin would deliberately avoid official means of travel.
Yeah.
Because assuming that all those things are going to get locked down around Asparia.
Okay.
So we can't take the Buckleberry ferry.
The Buckleberry ferry. So yeah, go ahead. Whoever wants to be Perrin's assistant for the day, go ahead and give him advantage. But you can make this survival check with advantage.
I will.
All right. Hi, Atticus. How did you sleep last night?
Pretty good. I had a dream that all of us were in courts, and yeah, it was interesting. There's a really tall guy, taller than me, with like really long hair and a giant beard, and he was like, "You have to pay that amount of gold," and I was like, "Objection!" And then you said something about them not
hold on
being
just
able to
one
handle
second
the
real
truth.
quick, and Perrin walks away. I rolled a 19.
Okay, great. You roll a 19. Bert's gonna walk up behind you. Perrin, I had a dream too, but in my dream, I was the tall one and you were all short. Well, you were all my height. Now, I would tell you what, it was real. And he kind of keeps on until you sort of leave him behind too.
Yeah.
Cool. On a 19, yeah, if you're avoiding any kind of main roads or, official ferries, things like that, I don't think you're going to find a fairly shallow spot to cross. 19's pretty good. in order for everyone to successfully cross this and not meet with any mishaps, it's not like you're trying to like swim. I'm gonna say
What's
that
the
everyone
deepest part?
What's the deepest part? It's not even over your head.
Perrin is gonna like tie a rope to this side, like around a rock with like
Cool.
a slip knot, and he's gonna keep that tensioned and walk out in front and give everybody like that thing that they can keep a hand on.
Cool. What I will have you do then first, Perrin, is I will have you make your athletics check first to navigate this successfully.
Hey,
But I will tell you, you're just, yeah.
I mean, I think
Guidance on everyone.
I like your idea, but I'm like the big heavy guy. So you don't want to tie the rope around me, and I can lead the way.
Look, I agree you are the big heavy guy, and you fell down big and heavy yesterday.
Yeah, but like
Savage.
you gotta, whatever. I can't argue with that. You made your point.
I like that moment of resignation where Sean is like, no, yeah, I'm not gonna argue. Fine, you're right.
Okay, Perrin,
Nick's
go ahead and make
places
your
guidance on everyone.
Yeah, go ahead.
On
and make
Atticus,
your,
it's a little sad little like there pat on the shoulder.
Go ahead and make your athletics check, Perrin. Oh, your audio wasn't there.
14.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, you do this successfully. This is going to mean that everyone else gets to make their athletics check to cross with advantage. You're just trying to get a 5 or higher. This is not a hard crossing. So no one roll 2. Yeah, the higher of your 2 die just has to be better than a 5 on athletics.
19.
My first roll was a nat 1.
What's the second roll?
Actually, technically it's -1 because I have -1 in athletics. Can you be a negative roll?
Sure can.
Okay, that one's 15.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay.
-1, 14.
13.
Yeah.
Atticus like crosses it is like,
Brooke got high enough.
hey, look at me. Hey, look at me, Perrin.
Hold on to the rope, please. Hold on to the rope.
Fauna definitely like slips and almost eats shit because of that first roll, but then
Yeah.
she like grabs the rope and manages to like stay upright.
Yeah, the cat is kind of on
like
your
while
shoulders
also
and is
holding
real.
the cat. Yeah.
Okay.
Can
all
I
right.
can I scoop Bert up so he doesn't have to make the check?
Yeah, for sure. I already made the check for Bert. I think you see him. You still can if you want to, but you see him kind of valiantly. It's the water's a lot higher on him, like almost up to his chin, but you see him hold on to that rope way up there, and just you think that there's a chance that his feet aren't even touching the bottom of the river as he just sort of makes his way hand over hand.
Well, that's for sure
But
what's
he's a
happening.
little frog.
It's weird you're not
Doesn't he have, like-
swimming, bud.
He's a toad.
it's
Toads don't
toad.
swim.
It's
Yeah,
just
toads
Toads
so
are
heavy in this
land
armor.
amphibians.
So
Oh, yeah,
heavy
we
in this
forgot.
armor. I sure am thankful for this rope, though.
You're doing so good.
I mean, Bert got a dirty 20 on his athletics check.
Oh,
Dang,
So,
nice.
He's killing it.
Bert, it's better
Proud
than
of you.
us.
you all make it
Perrin
over,
gives,
no problem.
gives Bert a little nod of recognition, like, you did it, bud. You really did it today.
Aw, gee. Okay. We're gonna
Amos,
move on.
get my rope back.
Ooh, yeah.
Nothing behind.
Leave nothing. Leave no trace. Yeah. Amos, no problem. Takes the. Yeah, in a strength unbefitting of a normal mockingbird, is able to carry the end of a rope back, like flip back
Jesus
over
Christ,
to you.
Bird. I'm holding the other end. You just needed to loose the knot. We talked about this before. Quit showing off.
You know.
All right, everybody, you
I'm
need
good
to
at what I
get
do.
your layer closest to your skin. Change. This is what we talked about beforehand. Change that to your other set of clothes. You want dry clothes closest to your skin. Okay. Otherwise, you'll get a rash, and that's bad. Everybody, turn
you
around.
can
Don't face each other.
See, Bert is
looks
taking his armor off
distinctly
and just
uncomfortable
already
with
has
this.
like the worst rash on the back of his arms.
bird. That's got to be like 3 weeks old, bud. Like, you've got to take some baths now and again.
Oh, yeah, I guess I should. I've just been so excited to wear it. I haven't really
Atticus
thought
just
about.
takes his like chest plate off, and there's like you just see like he has nothing under it already. You just see a beautiful body, like sculpted body, and he's like, man, I wish I had those attachments to my reading glasses that had like they were like tinted and helped with the sun. Anyways, and he's just gonna strut off. He's gonna do a little strut holding his armor.
Let's go ahead and make those luck checks too for the day. So it will Nyx and Perrin. Each of you go ahead and give me a luck check. First half and second
16.
half. Okay.
6.
Okay. You pass the rest of the day of travel without incident. On the 6th, everyone go ahead and make me a perception check. As evening starts to set in and the sun gets low.
24.
22.
14.
Nat 1.
21.
Nick's
All right.
so
Kind
busy
of,
being wet that
all of it,
Yeah,
can't.
they're
Yeah,
can't
miserable
focus.
in the desert.
because they also refuse to change because they're like, I'm not taking
Yeah.
my
Very
hood off.
obviously
Like it's
rashed.
not. Yeah.
All right, I'll be uncomfortable. The rest of you, lastly, I suppose Nyx, with the rest of the group noticing it, eventually you're going to also. As you draw towards the close of day where you'd be making camp, you see, again, far in the distance, probably at least a few hours away, but now that you're kind of in these flat scrublands, you're not, you've left the cliffs of the Salt Valley in the distance behind you on the other side of the river. And to the west is the dry sea. So you can kind of see, if you really squint out there on the horizon, sort of just this, you can see a spot where it just sort of drops off. You're at a much higher vantage point than the bed of the dry sea. You can kind of see that. If you squint really hard, you can see, maybe, if your eyes aren't playing tricks on you, the shimmer of the river Atrociles to your east. You're just sort of in that little gap right there in between the dry sea and the river Atrociles. You are making camp, though, out in the middle of these scrublands. Perrin, you kind of find, a larger rock as best you can. It's a place that a lot of, like, at least half the party can kind of get their backs up against. But in the distance, you do see, probably a few hours away, the dim light of another campfire, kind of just glowing on the horizon. Little plume of smoke coming up. And again, it's a little behind you and a little closer to the river than you all are.
No fire tonight. It's a good thing we all changed our clothes after the water, so I know we're all dry and toasty already. So nobody's gonna be too uncomfortable. Just wrap up tight, and no fire, only cold food tonight.
Nyx is like trying to, as quietly as possible, ring out like it's just squelching leather.
Oh,
Atticus
very
has like a
uncomfortable.
nice little tan going now, like from walking with his like armor off.
yeah.
He still has his armor off. He actually took his gauntlets off too. So, if anyone can see, you can see some dark spots. They're like black and purplish on his left arm, up right about up to here. Like
They
look blotchy.
Or
No, it looks
bruises
like
or
Age
it looks
spots.
like scars. It looks like scars. It looks like picture Ashitaka in Princess Mononoke, like just some blotches and looks like birthmarks.
Perrin's
But-
definitely gonna like come up with a reason to fuss over something nearby and get a somewhat. He's in his take care of everyone mode, so he just wants to get close enough to politely like get a glance at it and be like, okay, this is an old thing. I'm not gonna ask questions. And up to you whether Atticus notices or clocks that.
I'll roll a perception check for myself to see, because Atticus is like, damn, I got a nice tan today. He notices. He does notice, but he's not gonna say anything, or he's just gonna go that this is it's not new, Perrin.
I just wanted to, just make sure everybody's good.
No, I
You
appreciate
never know,
it.
there can be like contaminants in the river. I mean, I don't know about germ theory or anything.
Contaminants.
Yeah, by
You
contaminants
wanted to
I
make
mean
sure it wasn't a rash.
right,
No,
magical
no.
spells. We might have gone
Just
through
weirdly obsessed with rashes all of a sudden.
a spell. Hey, look, it's not all of a sudden. I wake
I got
and
this one on my
breathe
back.
and
If
sleep
anyone wants to
worries
take a
about
look at
rash.
it, it's itching something fierce.
Okay, we definitely need to get you some ointment for that, for sure. For sure. Oh God, for sure, Bert.
When I was just a little, I used to just rub dirt on my back. I just do that
Can,
now. Kind of.
Can
That
Fauna
explains
look
a
around?
lot.
Can Fauna look around the campsite area to see if there's like an aloe plant?
Yeah, make me a little survival check.
Bart, have you always been green? Or is that from the river?
I don't know. Maybe I am a little bit brighter. I feel.
13.
Yeah, you find a little aloe plant and start rubbing it
Yeah.
on.
Fauna
It's
will,
just-
like,
Fauna,
Harvest
Fauna,
it.
you
and,
gotta you gotta slow down when you're walking through the campsite. You can't run. Do you know why you can't? You can
No.
only ran because it's past tense.
Fauna's
Oh,
just gonna make this face.
I mean, that was one of the better ones. I think I like that one. Yeah, Vox, I don't know. I feel a little, I don't know, feels good being out here in the wild. It's, not that we haven't had a lot of adventures together, but for some reason, this one just feels bigger out here. Maybe it's, the sky or the, well, yeah, I tell you right now, it sure ain't the rash, but
Fauna's gonna like start
I'm
putting
feeling good.
the aloe inside of the
Yeah,
aloe on
that's nice.
on
Yeah,
the rash
Yeah.
for Bert.
I sure do appreciate it.
During-
we've been traveling for a while, and I don't, usually by now, kind of have some sort of group name, or I've been in many parties, and we've all been known for something. It's weird we haven't even found an identifier for ourselves yet.
I mean, no better time than the present to find one, right?
Yeah, I was thinking river crossers because we just crossed a river. But
That is what we're most known for.
I mean,
Most known
Crossing
for
rivers,
Tavern now.
killing vampires,
I've
getting trapped in towers, apparently.
yeah.
It's
I mean, not all
Perrin.
of us have been in the tower, or have we?
Wait,
I mean,
Because you all think we're still in it right now is what I meant. Not because Fauna actually thinks she's been.
wait.
We might still be in it.
It's a pretty big tower.
there was a desert in the tower. That's where we found Vox.
No idea. It was the biggest desert, and I was there for weeks. It was endless, and it was miserable.
I'm not even shitting you. There was a desert on the 4th floor, 5th floor. I don't know. It was an odd
Big
placement
was
for a
this
desert.
tower?
Right,
That's
exactly.
also
It was pretty big. I mean, there was a whole meadow that I was in when they found me. Had
Yeah,
a
there was
river
an
and a pine glade and everything.
Listen,
how
in a room.
you guys never explained like why you were in this tower to begin with. I at least haven't heard that story.
Oh, just ask Perrin. Perrin knows
How
all
you
about
met?
it in the tower. Don't you, Perrin?
Some wizard had to be killed. I mean, you never
Yeah.
answered a random ad or got a letter saying like, "Hey, like, there's this guy and he thinks he's really cool, but he's a bad vampire or a bad wizard." They all think they're really cool and think they're doing something good, and you just go and smash them and you squash
They're
them
all
into
really big
pieces, and then
assholes to
yeah.
begin with. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of wizards
I mean,
like that.
I've never
also, that
gotten a
explains
letter
the
like
magical
that.
tower and the desert in the tower.
That would work as a name for the group though. Asshole Smashers.
Mm,
a little inelegant.
Perrin,
Rolls
little
off the
misleading.
tongue.
Perrin, I love it. I love it. Because it means so much to me in so many different ways.
Oh.
I reckon,
And
what about
that just confirms my little giant climbing theory.
how do we feel about a little bit of a alliteration? You know, we could tame it down a bit and call it Bert and the Butt Smashers.
Bert, I told you already.
Bert
you're
is the
not
leader.
in charge.
No, Bert is. I vote.
No,
Bert.
Fauna,
I know,
don't.
I
You
know.
can't listen to what he says. He's not the lead. Is that what he's been telling you every night before you go
Take
to
a
sleep?
vote.
Listen,
Who
I know
votes
we
Bert
base
as
everything
leader?
in this group off height, and I'm at the end of the
Bert,
chop
Dag,
block, as it were.
Dag Nabbit, that was the funniest thing I ever heard on this trip. I swear.
Perrin is very upset by that and wanders out to the outside of camp.
True humor just gets me, you know. It's just what can I say? Like a fart's always funny, you know. Like a fart is always going to be something I laugh at.
Hey, Fauna, could I have some of that aloe oil, actually?
Oh yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Hand it
My
over.
hair really
Well-
needs it.
Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I mean, I just need to treat my hair.
Nix, y'all got one of
you get a
them
rash?
rashes too?
Who said
Bert!
rash?
Bert, shh.
No,
Bert, you're gonna
have a
trigger
rash.
Perrin.
It's fine.
Oh,
Everything's fine.
Perrin's gonna smell the air and see if he can smell another rash.
Nyx is gonna kind of like step, not away from the group, but like kind of into like a bush behind, and change into one of like set of like traveler's clothes, and tie like a like makeshift headscarf.
cool.
And so they're not wearing their armor anymore.
Perfect.
Come out and join the crew.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say. This is the first night that you are out in the open, without the protection of the spirit house. You know, I'll set up your watches. If you want to decide who wants to take, you know, first. Oh, I think you'd have to do it in 4 shifts.
I think Perrin immediately starts.
Oh, you got muted halfway through.
Oh yeah, you did.
I think every
Yeah.
night Perrin's got this kind of on lock, and he's like giving everyone assignments and making sure that they rotate per night. So Perrin takes first watch every night. He has Atticus rotate in tonight for second watch. He has Vox rotate in for third watch, and then Perrin cycles back out for fourth watch tonight, and then we'll do alternate for the other.
Okay.
And we'll
I'm
have
happy to take
Ni-
extra
Nyx and Fauna
extra
do
watches,
the other
Perrin.
one. Perrin's an elf. He doesn't need to sleep.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, both you and Nick.
And
I know, but Perrin's already gonna be up.
I'm
Fauna sleeps a lot, so
My
if she
best
doesn't
at
have to
night.
take any watches, she's not going to be mad
Yeah.
about it.
Honestly, it would make sense. I bet Nyx would negotiate to take Fauna's watches and have Fauna like not wake up Fauna and just take those watches.
Cool.
100%.
Okay, then here's what I'm gonna
Yeah,
say.
I'm just happy to be here.
We're gonna do perception checks in that order. So it'll be Perrin, Atticus, Nyx, and then back to Perrin. Wait, did I?
Vox today.
Vox.
Perrin,
right.
Atticus, Vox,
Yep.
Perrin.
Cool. Yep.
Are we all just rolling?
Yeah. We'll do it in order. So
Okay.
Perrin first, and then
9 for my first one.
Flat roll.
perception.
Perception.
checks.
Nyx is going to, before everyone heads off to bed, call
I got nat 20, by
on
the
the
way.
waxing night. Have Guardian of Faith stand for the 8 hours that everyone sleeps.
Awesome. Cool.
What the fuck is that? What? Who is
I
that?
don't think you can see her.
Is it
Oh,
only?
it's just
It's
a rat.
indistinct except for like
There's just
you
a
might
rat
catch.
scurrying by. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you said you've traveled before. It's just a mouse.
Rats are gross still.
Or
Vox.
not.
They carry
It's
diseases.
Cute!
we
Fauna's
tra-
going to go try and befriend the rat.
Before you can, Bert immediately lunges over, grabs the rat, and just, I mean, you're supposed to all get a cold dinner tonight. Bert just swallows the rat.
We have talked about this. You
Bert.
have to clean out the innards. Cut
Well,
it open and
I'm a
scoop out.
toad. I mean, that's sorry, the tail came up a little bit. I mean, it's just how I don't know how. All
Bert,
right,
you're a
You're
knight
a-
now.
you're a
You have to
hero.
be
Thank
more civilized.
all right. I'll give it a try. I'll give it a try. No more rats. No more whole rats.
No more whole rats.
No more whole rats. All right.
You don't have. You're good. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about
Okay.
that.
Thanks.
Just be
thanks.
more discreet, okay?
Yeah. No problem.
So was I
hey-
rolling
Hey, Bert.
perception?
I
You
don't
whisper
think you
really
actually
loud,
have to
Bert.
because Fauna wasn't taking a watch tonight, so it'll actually go Atticus, and so Atticus,
Okay.
you nat
Nat
20.
20.
And Vox.
Yeah, Perrin on your 9, uneventful, first couple hours of watch. Atticus, you take over shift, and as everyone kind of is, Perrin eases into a rest. During your watch, Atticus, got it, nat 20. One of the few nat 20s that's, unless there's something going on, is going to be hard to reward. That fire that you saw in the distance, can't see the glow of it anymore. You think that they've also said you don't see. I think throughout the passing of your watch, there's some creatures that go about it, nothing larger than the rat except for maybe in the distance you hear this kind of this soft little almost human-like yip that you would recognize as kind of a fox, just kind of like crying out. And you've probably seen the distance too. It's it's a little desert fox, so it's got those cute little, very large triangular ears as it kind of peeks out and goes scurrying along. Nat 20, you don't see anything else going on out here.
But you hear
Wow.
Fauna snoring, like
Yeah.
weirdly, undaintily for just like,
You hear kind of Bert murmur around in his sleep, kind of, in the middle of a dream. Yeah, you know what? You all are just going to get half to used to the fact that I'm the tall one now, and it's going to be Bert and the Butt Smashers from here on out. Vox, go ahead and make your perception check.
That was an 8.
Okay. Uneventful. Again, just a lot of those little night creatures, and Perrin, that is back to the final roll before you.
19.
The wee hours before dawn. On the 19, in those last couple hours before the sun rises, you see that little desert fox. It kind of peeks its head out, about 15 feet away from some brush. Pads softly.
Perrin tosses it a chunk of meat.
Ooh, go ahead and make
dried.
me a little. Make me an animal handling check.
And Perrin casts animal friendship.
Oh, how many things will I drop into the net of
Case
the party?
we needed another familiar.
I rolled a 21 on my whatever roll you just told me. Animal handling and
Oh my
animal friendship does whatever
God.
it does. It convinces them that I mean it no harm. If you name an animal and you don't immediately have Bert eat it, I'm gonna make friends with it.
hope you practiced your Australian accent, Eli.
The little desert fox draws closer, takes the meat, and just kind of sits down and looks at you. See its
I
ears
cast
just kind of-
speak to animals.
Of course we do. Yeah. It just continues to observe you. Ears up.
Hey. Good.
It looks at you.
We're just passing by. Do you want more meat? Aaron tosses in another chunk.
It's going to come closer.
Give a name.
It kind of opens its mouth a little bit. Looks at you. You got a you got a 21 on animal handling though. Go ahead and give me an insight check real quick.
24.
Shee-many. Without the casting of like the animal, it's regarding you as friendly because of the animal friendship spell. Like even the 21 on animal handling like got it to come eat the food.
Right, but it's neutral to me ordinarily.
Yeah, this as you look closer at it, you see that you don't have to make a perception check for this. You see that's got a little bit of a limp as it walks. And you can see that its right front paw is just kind of crushed. Looks like maybe it was caught in a trap at one point. It is very distrustful. Draws a little closer. Eats some of the food. Looks at you. Are you one of them?
One of who, little one?
The people that hurt. The people that hurt us. They catch us.
No, that's not us. Not you.
Okay.
Did that happen recently?
It's been... The moon was very, very bright when it happened to me. I was littler. I mean, it's healed now as much as it will, I think.
It's a little dark out. Will you step a little closer and let me look at it?
It's going to come closer. Holds
Karen's
out
going
its-
to take a look.
Yeah. It's been crushed by a trap. Go ahead and make me... Ooh.
All the animal handling, or do you want medicine?
I'm going to say you could make a medicine or an investigation check. Whichever one you want.
Medicine, 14.
Okay. On a 14, it looks like it was kind of not quite caught all the way, but like it definitely crushed the paw so that it can't really put, it doesn't really work to put weight on anymore. But just sort of on the edge, like the trap didn't fully catch it, and it looks like the fox was able to kind of wiggle its way out of the trap. It looks up to you. Most of the other people who wander around in the desert like you, they're just here, they usually they want to catch larger things, not me. But I got stuck, and I got out, but there's some of them not far from here.
And they're hunting? They've got traps and weapons?
Yeah.
Are they sleeping?
I'm not sure. I didn't go too close to them. Usually when I find them, there's always at least one awake like you are. Do you have any more food?
Yeah, we have more food. Do you need more for tonight? Or do you want more tomorrow?
More tomorrow?
Yeah. To get too far from your home. But if you want to stick close and you can keep up with us, I'll give you more tomorrow. I'll leave some behind when we break camp.
I would like more tomorrow.
I'm gonna leave some here when we leave, right here. And he's gonna point at a spot under a rock. And then if you can keep up with us, you can keep up with us. They're good people. You can keep your distance. You don't have to get close. If you want more tomorrow, I'll give you more tomorrow. You'll see me awake. You'll see others awake. You can always come up to me.
You see, Fox looks at you, gives a little nod, and then walks over next to the rock that you pointed out and curls up next to it. Just kind of, in a sleeping position, but just keeps its eyes open.
I think
Looks at you.
Perrin whistles a song from his childhood, just like a real simple melody, and it being from the Feywild, it's a very naturalistic sound. It sounds like birdsong.
Yeah.
He just kind of softly whistles as he sits through his watch.
Yeah. You pass the rest of your watch doing just that. At some point, the fox does kind of nod off. It almost blends into the landscape around you. I mean, it's a desert fox. It's camouflaged into the scrubland, so it's almost looks like another little boulder next to the rock that you pointed out.
Is this a Finnick fox, by the way? Like with the really big white ears?
Yep. That's
adorable.
It's yeah, essentially, more or less. That's what this fox looks like. Okay. We are on day 3. Let's have another survival check. With advantage based off whoever's helping you for the day today.
I think
I'll
Perrin
be the
wakes up.
helper today.
Okay, yeah. Perrin wakes up Fauna and is like, "Hey, how you doing? A lot of walking."
Yeah, I'm all right.
She better be doing all right. She snored so loud last night.
I do not snore. That's so rude.
Saying it was
Hey,
really hard
Fauna.
for me to meditate, and that's saying something.
You snore very softly. It's great. It's a good
I mean,
sound.
I might have some allergies because of the sand. So
Don't lie
Right.
to the girl.
what am I rolling for? Sorry, what? What's
You're
happening?
just giving me advantage.
Oh, I'm not doing anything. Great.
19.
Yeah. You ever see those big sheep with those big horns and the noise they make? It's like it's kind of like that, but
I guess
more.
you can't say that.
Like,
It's the
The
truth.
horns?
no,
Oh.
I'm just saying, like, sheep. I don't care about your horns. I've seen many things with horns in my life.
Yeah,
Okay, it
but-
kind of reminded me a little bit. I'm sorry, like, but you do kind of.
Atticus.
X is gonna mime like digging in the sand.
Okay, I can't help it if I snore. I'm sorry. I don't know
Okay,
what to
it's
do.
okay. Here, come over here.
Okay.
Yeah, do you see the way the dew settles on this scrub here?
Yeah.
Just every morning. So it's like the heat. Like there's heat during the day, and then it cools off during the night, and it pulls moisture out of the air. And that's why the air tastes so dry. It lands like this, so we can check this. We can look around us and see if any animals have passed by. By the way, there's a fox right here. I don't know if you noticed, but
Fauna is immediately going to try and befriend the fox.
Roll me an animal handling check.
Oh my god, Mr. Cat is just screaming outside the door. 15?
Okay. On a 15, the fox doesn't approach any closer to it, but it doesn't run away from you either. It just kind of sits there, crouched down, timid, and regards you.
So you see
Does-
around it, you can see where it passed by, and it like created depressions in the moisture there.
Yeah. Does Fauna notice the fox's paw is hurt?
Hmm.
Can you use healing on things that aren't in your party?
Sure can.
Can I cast a healing spell on the fox?
Yes.
But
I
do your
think
healing
it
spells
to-
require touch?
Ooh. No, healing word doesn't.
No, it's just within that I can see within 60 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, for healing word, it's just a... what word does Fauna say to the fox?
Uh, why am I so bad at thinking of words?
It's okay. It can be a little. It can be a little phrase too for healing word.
It's
I think-
dink.
Does it's dink? Does it have to
Dink-a-doon.
be? Is the healing word the same word every time I use that spell,
Nope.
or is it just a word?
Just it can.
Okay,
it can be
I
different
think
every
in this
time, yeah.
case she would just say like fuzzy.
Oh,
The fox is cute and fuzzy.
you say that, and its paw. Go ahead. You got a 15 on. Go ahead and roll that animal handling check as if you had advantage on it. So if you get higher than the 15 would have been, we'll count that one instead.
I got 22.
The fox looks at its paw, puts some weight on it, looks back up at you. Its eyes widen, ears flick. And then you see it's going to turn and run in the other direction. Go ahead and give me both, Perrin and Fauna, you're both right here. You can both give me an insight check.
Eight on the insight.
21.
Uh,
Why do I always have good rolls when we're not actually doing anything?
Perrin,
For
on
the content.
Yeah. On the 8, you see all the work that you put into like easing that. You see that all disappears. The fox goes running out, albeit with a healed paw now. Like you did see that take place. So
Yeah.
it's running on all fours, full speed. Fauna, that's a really high insight check. The way that the fox is running, foxes are stealthy creatures, very capable of hiding their tracks, of getting away quick too without leaving a. You see this little fox digging in with its paws into the dirt, almost as if it's intending to leave tracks behind it. And I think you sensed no fear in the fox. Is able to do. You sensed almost excitement.
Does
Maybe
it
that's
seem like it's
excitement for
leaving
itself,
tracks?
like testing.
for us? Like, does it seem like it wants us to follow it?
Well, I guess I'll just leave these rations here like I promised it I would.
I think the fox wants us to follow it. Are we? I mean,
Wait, are you really?
Habit of following
Yeah.
strange animals? Seems like we are.
I mean, it's going in the general direction that you would have been going anyway. It is headed further
Does it
to
seem
the
like
south.
if we're going west-ish, is the camp west-south or west-north? The fire that we saw?
Ooh, it would be the
In this direction or
fire
not
that you
this
saw
direction?
would be
what
not
was
in this
behind
direction.
us?
So
more?
behind you, like, and closer to the river, so northeast of you was where you saw the fire. This fox is heading south and a little bit to the, so I mean, pretty much in the direction of Amagos.
Yeah, so Perrin kind of eyeballs that and he's like, guess we can go that way. I can track it I'm a pretty good tracker, so I can see where like all its tracks are. You see how there's footprints.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a subtle thing. I mean, you'll learn.
You're doing
You'll
great,
learn.
parent.
Fuck, we walked. When did you come up behind us?
Are we going yet? You
Nyx
see
is
Atticus,
stealthy all the time.
you see Atticus leading Bert through a workout, the daily workout. Five,
Yeah,
give me 5
we're-
more. 5 more.
We got 10 minutes. Go ahead and get packed up. Get some water. Again, we've talked about this. Don't over drink water. Drink it as you get thirsty as we go through the day. Get your bags ready.
All right, now we're gonna do one arms. Are you ready? Like this, and Atticus like starts doing one. All right, all right.
Cool. You all
We
head
haven't
out.
done cardio yet, so you'll be fine then.
You got a 19 on your survival check for the day, right?
Yeah, 19
Yeah,
survival.
you're able to follow the fox's footprints, no problem. Go ahead and I think luck checks for the day are down to Vox and then Atticus for the second. So go ahead and make me those luck checks.
Perrin would definitely, especially after speaking to the fox, he would keep an eye in the direction of the campfire, and he would be definitely like listening for any sound of whatever.
Yeah.
Natural 20 on luck. A
Whew.
1 and a 20. Oh Jesus!
And then the 19.
Yeah. We
Okay.
find gold.
Can we add it to luck?
Oh, sorry, puppy.
Or is it's just flat, right?
Flat.
19.
Cool. Okay. You're able to follow the fox prey, and it leads, as luck would have it, exact like true to the path that you would take to get to Amagos.
That's wild. This is exactly where we're going.
It's wild indeed. Let's see. That was 1, 2, 3. So by the end of the day, you're gonna be there. Yeah.
Fox, how's
is-
your arm healing up after that little fireball situation?
It's fine. It'll be fine. Thanks for wrapping it, I guess. But
Yeah, it's
I'll
important
live.
with burns. They got to get wrapped early.
It is about midday when you come upon, in the distance, you see a small little farmhouse. There's no barn, it's just the simple farmhouse, but kind of in stark contrast to all the scrubland around here. Surrounding this farmhouse there's I think even from a distance you can see the small glimmer of it. There's a little willow grove that surrounds a small pond, and there's also a very vibrant garden. So this is actually a real small legitimate farm, and I think we've established that it's like late summer getting into autumn. So here, it is almost getting into harvest time. Like this garden is fit to burst. I think this kind of comes into your field of vision, running back to you. I think the party would also see the fox kind of running back to you, and just sort of runs, no fear this time, even with the rest of you, runs right up to you, stops in front of you, looks at you, and then
Bert, don't eat it.
That's way too big for me. I mean,
I've ever seen. What is that?
It's a fox. It's an animal. It's just a normal.
Bert, it's a good source of protein after your workout, though.
It's adorable.
Yes.
And kneels down and looks at it.
God.
Hey,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I recast Speak with Animals. Hey, I didn't think we'd see you again.
Yeah, I wanted you to follow me earlier. Thank you. Can she helped my paw. Can she help her?
Is there
And
somebody
you
else
see the
hurt?
fox. She's sick.
Well, Fauna likes to help. She's very good at it. Fauna, somebody else is sick, hurt here. Party, just relax a little bit, but let's keep your eyes open.
Yeah, where?
It's inside this cabin.
Yeah, the fox is gonna back this way, towards.
All right, Bert. Time for cardio. Who else wants to join in on this?
Vox, you wanna keep a watch if he's gonna do a workout. Just make sure nothing comes up on us. Let's not all crowd into this cabin.
Absolutely.
I can keep watch too. I can do two things at once, Baron.
Go ahead and
Oh.
do your cardio.
I'm so confident in that. Thanks, Atticus. Thank you, Vox.
You approach this little farmhouse. As you're approaching, is there any kind of I would assume you're not approaching it, like you're not sneaking up on the house.
Yeah, not sneaking, just kind of cautious, but not sneaky.
Yeah.
Do you want some backup, Perrin?
I mean, if it sounds like, sorry, I was speaking Fox there. It sounds like there's somebody sick inside. I don't want to super crowd up in there if they have something, communicable or whatever.
Yeah. I'll just hang back, but
Come on, Nix, get your steps in. You just see Atticus running around the farm and with Bert behind him.
you're quite literally traveling across the country, Atticus, and you need more of a workout.
I've done the math. If we got to hit a mile, Bert, we got to run around this thing about 6 times.
You see Bert stops running and looks at Nix, thinks about what they said, and then is going to just give a deep sigh and continue running after Atticus.
And we're doing 4 miles, so we got about 39 laps to go.
You're nailing this math, bud.
This little toad is going to be fit as fuck by the end of this.
Bert runs laps past
Ripped.
Nix. Nix is gonna extend a hand out for a high five and slap some guidance into him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's going to take it. He's going to add that to his little athletics check. It's what, a D4? He had a 14 on his. That's an 18 on his athletics now. Yeah, Bert. There's a point in that very next lap, Atticus, where you just hear "on your left," and Bert comes kind of just shooting by you. Perrin, go ahead. You're the one go ahead and give me a perception check.
$14.
Cool. You, on a 14, you see, kind of out, tending to the, kind of down on his knees, just tending to the, you see, human, male, looks to be maybe in his mid to late 40s, graying, kind of like a sparser, not quite a full beard, it's a little more sparse, but salt and peppery, shorter curly hair that is also salt and pepper, a wrinkled foot, definitely the skin of someone who works, tends the land out in scrubland like this in sun. He's very leathered, but kind eyes, simple clothes, just on his knees working in the soil, and you see what looks to be 2 twin boys, blonde hair, also kind of maybe not as devoted as it looks like their father might be, but working behind him too in the field. And in addition, you see a small girl. Looks to be maybe 7, maybe 8 years old, and is kind of in one of the more, there's there's that little kind of circle of willows around the pond at the far end of this little farm plot, and there are also a few fruit trees over there that are kind of soaking up a lot of the the water from that pond. It's in addition to all the other sort of vegetables and things that this farm has going on, and she's sitting kind of underneath these trees just near the pond, and you see she kind of has this little almost cot, and it looks like it's fashioned to sort of be carried carried around, like a little bed, you know, almost kind of like it's got a wheel on it, so almost kind of like a wheelbarrow, like a bed, or a wheelbarrow turned into a bed. And she's just sitting there looking at the pond. You see some dragonflies buzzing around her. You can see there's kind of this like a little bit of an unnatural angle to one of her arms.
Okay.
Kind of just like at the forearm, and also, give me your perception check. What was the total on it?
Not high. 14. 9 plus 5. 14.
Okay, 14. Yeah, that's what you notice.
Perrin thinks to himself, good, I left all the scary looking motherfuckers behind. Like, this is just a cute little family. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm taking the chance here to not leave, or not taking everybody in the full armor. He kind of calls out like, hey there, stranger. We've got a healer here.
You see, are you kind of approaching, because again, like, it's not a big, it's a little plot of farmland. Are you approaching the girl first, or the
I think Perrin is
two
approaching in the least threatening way possible, which is in the open, like, and
Cool.
leading Fauna forward. Is the fox still there?
Yeah, I think the fox is padding along with you.
Yeah, so he's trying to walk in the open, not
Cool.
slow carefully, but slow, non-threat, casually.
Yeah, I think you'd be coming into like the what looks to be like the dad and the two boys first. The
Yeah.
way that you're approaching, and kind of at the far end is the girl. You call out. You see one of the boys looks up, notices first. Pa! Kind of reaches over. Man stands up, looks at you.
Hi there, Pa. I'm Perrin.
Well, hello. It's not. Give me an insight check real quick as he stands up.
23?
On a 23, I'm gonna let you roll this persuasion check with advantage, but you see that he immediately stands up with some suspicion at a stranger. I'm gonna give you advantage on the persuasion check because you're approaching like in the most non-threatening way possible. You're with
Rolled an
Fauna
11
and a
twice,
tiny
but
fox.
I have +6 to that. 17.
Ooh, +6. You also have, because... Oh, no, you don't, because you didn't stay in the Spirit House the night before. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, cool. You roll that. You see he regards you with a little bit of suspicion, but you also did call out healer.
Yeah.
He's going to take a couple steps closer to you. Well met, friend. We don't get a lot of people out here, and this far out of where are you coming from?
Oh, we're just passing by on our way south. We're, times are tough. Cities are, you know how cities are.
Well, I mean, it's been a while since I've been to Asparia. Can't leave this place for long. The desert will eat it right up.
Oh, I see that. We're passing by, but this little one, this fox here, we saw and kind of followed it back this way.
Fox.
I don't know.
You
Must
see
be
the fox kind of gives a not quite a wide berth, but like doesn't trot right by the, but goes off towards the girl and then just kind of looks back at the two of you, Perrin and Fauna.
But I mean, like, I hate to presume, but wanted to say hello since we were passing by, near where your space is. Just I noticed your little one over there. She hurt? She's sickly?
I think Fauna probably has already started to wander over that direction, like following the fox towards the little girl as Perrin is talking to the guy.
Yeah. You see the two boys are old, so they're probably like early teens, like maybe 13, 14. You see he looks kind of down at the two of them, and then just sort of over at in his daughter's general direction. You see kind of just wordlessly the boys know they kind of go start walk. No one is like terribly suspicious or alarmed yet, but just strangers coming in. The boys are going to go over to kind of be next to their sister too. But the man continues to address you, Perrin. Oh, yeah. Well, Grace, she had an accident couple months back, and just I did what I could, but by the time I could get her into a Magos, it was too late for a proper healer to set her upright, and she broke her arm in a poacher trap, trying to free some critter. And well, a lot of them folk out here, they poison their traps, and the poison set in pretty well. Yeah, she not doing so great.
Perrin kind of looks around this remote cabin and this like father doing his best and kind of nods. He's like, that's really scary.
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry. Where am I, man? Can I? You've been traveling out there. Can I get you anything? You need water, food?
Oh, I mean, I'm stocked on water and food, and we've got a small group back around the bend here. I think that's one of them now. We're just five. Five. Parent counts on his head. 6. I mean, one of them's a toad and one's a cat. So like,
8 more laps, Bert. Come on.
A 9-foot tall man and a 3-foot tall toad circle by.
Come circling by. Kind of, it's Namira. People are not like magic, and monsters are not completely foreign here, but they are certainly not common, especially to places and people like this. He's going to kind of take a little bit of a start back. Is that little
yeah,
toad
the shorter
wearing,
one
little
is the
toad wearing,
yeah, not the
wearing
tall
armor.
one. That's just a man. Oh, right.
He
Yeah,
got him
no,
dressed
he's
up
a
like a knight?
squire. Yeah, I mean, he is technically that.
Atticus running by again. Dig deep, Bert. Let's go.
As this conversation takes place, Fauna, you see the boys kind of standing by, haven't said anything yet, just observing you. Fox pads up close to the girl, just kind of sits and looks up at her, and you see the girl looks down to the fox. Oh, it's you. And then it looks over to you. Oh, hi.
Hi, don't be scared. My name's Fauna.
Hi, Fauna. I'm Grace.
I know that we just met, but I think I might be able to help you.
What do you mean, help me?
Well, your pa was just telling us about what happened to you, and I think I might be able to help you feel better.
You see, she looks down at her arm, and then she looks, went to look over to you. Her eyes catch the fox, and the fox holds up its once injured paw, now fine, and just kind of, Did you do that?
Yeah.
Grace isn't gonna. You see, her brothers are far enough away, like that one of them kind of takes a step forward but doesn't do anything. But Grace is just gonna raise her arm right up to you.
I think Fauna's gonna like sort of look back towards like where Perrin and the man are standing, just kind of like catch their eye to make sure that it's okay. I mean, you know what I mean? Like with the dad.
Yeah, I think that, I mean that you, well, I guess your insight check earlier was the fox. Go ahead and give me an insight check right now.
Oh. 22.
You are able to collect the entire vibe. No one here is really prepared for magic. It's just like, it's not everyone. Not everyone in Namira is familiar. You know, they know it's a thing that exists, but I think experiencing it would be, for a lot of people, they might go their entire lives without seeing it or experiencing any type of magic whatsoever. But when a kind person promises something to a child and they get to, I mean, she's looking and she's familiar with this fox in some way. She sees that its paw is healed. She looks up at you with all the trust in the world.
I think in order to make it a little more tangible and maybe not as scary, Fauna's going to take some of the aloe from earlier that she just squirreled away and put it on the girl's arm, and then also cast a healing word, but the word is going to be soothe, so that the girl feels like, you know what I mean? So it's a little like softens the blow a little bit, so it's not just like magic out of nowhere. It's
totally.
Like, oh, there's plants heal, you know what I mean? So
yeah. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to have you do, a little, because of like this poison is set in, it's almost like, you know, healing traditionally like would heal immediate wounds, because this is a little bit more of, not quite, but like it's this deep infection that is set in her and made her sick. You know, the bone is set in correctly too. So low DC is only 8, but I need you to make an Arcana check to like specifically go deeper into her with this.
8 is what I got.
Okay. That's...
Can I distance metamagic give you some guidance? I don't know if it's going to help enough, but...
Oh, yeah, you can at distance. Yeah, I mean, you already hit the 8. Here's what I will say, just to see if it's any better than that 8. You can definitely do the guidance thing. I will also say the cat is there, and the cat can give you advantage on this, Fauna. So you can roll with advantage. And then go ahead and roll. You get to that D4 of guidance too.
Okay. Amos lands on your shoulder also, and you get a full Disney princess moment as the fox and the cat and the
get to sing?
Yeah.
Does Fauna get a song? Can the next episode be musical?
100%. Yeah, Bert's gonna...
Fox, count us down. Count us down.
Fox has been counting out the laps for Atticus and Bert, but she is counting them purposely wrong to make them do more laps.
Oh shoot, I miscounted. We got 3 more laps.
That was worse, so I guess we're gonna go with 8. But then, someone roll?
Roll the D4.
Well, can someone roll it for me? Mr. Cat is laying on all my dice right now.
Yeah.
It's just have Nyx roll it.
That's a 4.
Oh.
Okay. 12.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
I rolled a 9.
It's going to be enough, but I'll try.
Hey, Fox. What?
Oh, of
What are
course
we
now
at
Mr.
now?
Cat gets up.
What are we? What are we
You're
at now?
You're at 24. You only need 12 more.
This is where
Um,
real men are made, Bert. Dig deep.
24. I counted 21.
um, as you're running laps, Vox is counting these off. Perrin, you look at the dad, who's now like kind of taking a couple hesitant steps towards his daughter. The two boys, about 10 feet away, just standing there in awe. The Grace, little girl, puts her arm up. Why don't you take it? Use the aloe. You say soothe. And you feel, not in a sharp way, there's no snap, it's almost like a sigh as the bone, the spur on the end of it where it healed improperly just melts away. And the bone just eases into place. You see immediately this warm glow just begins to extend over her, this kind of pale green tinted skin on her arm, just as it just sort of washes up the arm and color begins to return to it. She looks at her arm and back up at you. You can do magic. You see as this happens.
Sorry.
Yeah,
she wants to make the girl feel special.
Yeah.
So like it's not really
Yeah.
a secret, but she's like, you know.
The fox, in a show of, the fox fully jumps up into the little girl's lap and begins just kind of like licking at the arm. And you see the fox accepts it. The little girl just picks up the fox and with both arms now just hugs it close. One of the boys calls out, Pa, you better get over here. Tyler, man, runs over, looks down, gets down on his knees, takes his daughter's arm. Oh my God. And looks up at you. How did you? Thank you.
Of course. Happy to help.
I don't know what to say.
You don't need to say anything.
And just like Fox is still in there, just grabs his daughter and just starts to weep. And the boys kind of come over and put their hands on their father and their little sister's shoulders. They take a moment. You see he gets up. I'm sorry, forget I haven't even asked you strangers your name. My name's I'm Rusty. This is my daughter, Grace, and Lennon and Larimore, and he points to the boys. I don't know how to repay you.
No, that's not what we're. That's not what we're doing.
Please, can I get you? Can I make you dinner? Will you stay?
Honestly,
with us
yeah, dinner would be fine.
Okay.
I'll get the rest.
You see the boys immediately run to go
meet
like, start
everyone.
picking.
We just, like I said, we're travelers. And Perrin just kind of like picks random words. He's like, "We're." He thinks about his birthplace, and he thinks about everything that the party's been through, and he says, we're the Golden Reborn, and we're just traveling and trying to make things better."
Fox, where are we?
Oh, I'm sorry. I stopped counting. I thought you heard
I
it
can't
say.
run
Oh,
anymore. I'm
God.
so tired.
Atticus just like stops and he's just like,
Nick's
Hey,
all
Atticus,
kind of like
Bert,
Vox, will you guys run over here?
Box
keep-
run.
keep
Let's
calm
go,
down.
guys.
when your heart rate is up, my boy.
Bert is just holding onto your boot, Atticus, and just getting dragged along as you walk towards the house.
Atticus like catches his breath pretty quickly and he's like, whew, that was a run. He walks up and he's just drenched in sweat, just covered completely.
God, doesn't take long. The boys pick what food is needed. And I think for the first time in a long time, Grace is going to take a lot of joy in the job that used to be hers too, which is going to get all the little herbs and things like that for dinner. So she's just kind of going along and plucking all the little green leaves that she needs. And you see the fox just follows close behind her. And by about the time the sun goes down, there is it's not, I think for some of you who are maybe a little more well-traveled and would have experienced like a proper feast at a court this is not that. It is a simple feast, but prepared with love from the garden and farmland that this family maintains.
Man, this food reminds me of home. Oh man, this is great.
Where'd you say you come from again, Atticus?
I was going to ask you the same. I'm from the Southgreen.
Oh well, I grew up parents raised me in Amagos and came out here, about 20
long
years
journey
ago
from
with
Amagos.
my partner.
It's not a long journey.
Yeah, he kind of looks at you for a second, turns back to Atticus. We lost kids lost their mother shortly after Grace was born. We've been out here on our own, but we make do. I got two strong, smart boys helping me out, and a whip smart daughter, taking care of all kinds of critters and things up until the trap caught her arm and she got sick. It's been
I'm sorry
been
for
a
your
rough
loss.
couple of months. Thank you. I appreciate it. It hasn't been easy.
You made a beautiful home for yourself.
Thank you. It does. It's the last little bit of farmland I know of between Amagos and the Salt Valley. Pretty much everything nowadays hard to grow much out here. Ever since the sand crawlers kind of milked the soil dry, as it were.
Sand crawlers, what are those?
Sand crawlers, little black flowers. I think night gazers. Some people call them
Flowers?
flowers. Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, Taylor. My great grandpa, passed down, but there was once a time, if you can believe it, where Salt Valley and all this land between there and Amagos too gorgeous farmland. Weren't until the decree went out to farmers were getting paid by nobles and trade folk in Asparia to grow more of the night gazer crops, and weren't much longer than a few decades of that before the soil just couldn't support much anymore.
Yeah.
They created government subsidies for crops that weren't really necessary, and then they used those crops in a way that destroyed the local ecology.
Well, listen here, friend. That's a lot of fancy words. All I know is, more flowers. Nothing else much grows here anymore. I mean, before they ran most of them up, the orc tribes did an incredible job of turning what was essentially a desert into, it had these rich veins of farming land, and they were happy to share land, but when we lost them, we lost their ways, and then the more of these night gazers were planted, and
They trying to buy you out of your land? Are you staying strong?
I mean, it's just such a small parcel of land out here anyway. No one really bothers us. Honestly, we're a little off the main path to Amagam. Surprised that you found your way here. You see kind of Grace looks up at her dad. Oh, the fox brought him here.
Oh yeah, it was definitely the fox, and not because we're hiding or anything.
Baron.
Go ahead and roll me a deception check.
Nyx is going to loudly and awkwardly laugh.
10.
Okay.
Does that give him advantage?
Yeah, I'll say you can take advantage of it.
No.
yeah, I think that's probably fair, actually.
I don't on purpose say things like that for us to undo it.
You see Rusty looks over at you, Perrin, kind of gives you a look. Yeah, well, I mean, after seeing what y'all can do, it doesn't surprise me at all that little fox brought y'all here to help my Grace out. I don't know what we would have done without you.
I mean, what I see is a strong family fighting back against forces beyond their control, and I know how hard that can be, and I know what it takes. You're working hard because you believe in it. You believe in your family, and I'm happy that you're out here.
Give me a persuasion check with advantage.
Okay. All right. 24.
You see tears well up in the corners of Rusty's eyes. Thank you. Listen, I know you're all, seems like big time adventurers, and I'm sure you have places to go, but you're welcome to stay here as long as you wish. Any time you're passing through, there'll always be a place for you here.
Well, if you ever want to come see Sats Down South, stop on by Phoenix Manor.
Wait, that's the place that we're going that like burned down, right? And like your dad killed your whole family there.
Oh, I don't. That's
No, you've left out some key parts. When you say it like that, it just sounds really sad.
Right.
I rebuilt it some years ago.
Okay. My bad.
There are people that still live there. Cool crops. Exotic ones you can maybe bring back, sell at market here, make some more money.
well. I appreciate that. It's we don't really wander far from home, but
Maybe I can get some sent up to you.
well, again, you've already done more than enough. But you see, we're out here on our own. Can't say no.
It's a relief to have a good meal and a roof over our head for the night. So I'd say you've more than repaid the favor so far.
Everyone, give me a perception check.
Betrayal.
Nat 20.
5.
19.
23.
I got 17.
Yeah. The dinner is wrapping up. From outside, you hear a call. Baron Meliomne, you in there?
No.
Friend of yours?
What? Yeah, fuck it. Oh no, he's in there, boys.
Ready to action?
Break it down.
Run.
Yeah.
Run. Run.
Everyone, go ahead and roll initiative, and we will.
God damn you. God damn you.
Who is
You
that?
rolled a nat 1 on your luck check the very
God
first time, the very first
damn.
chunk of the day when you left Asparia.
The 10 for initiative.
Okay.
You're welcome. Wait, who is that? I don't know who this is.
Yeah, I don't know who it is either.
Oh, Perrin, you're the only one.
We don't know who it is.
No,
Okay.
none of you know who it is. Perrin, go ahead and roll me.
I rolled a dirty 20 initiative.
Cool. Roll me a history check real quick too. Or just we can make it raw until it's your own history. Yeah, I'll let you add the history bonus to it.
15, by the way.
17.
I also rolled a dirty 20 for my initiative.
Woo! Well done.
Go.
Yeah. 15 on my history.
You recognize the voice, and when we start our session next time, I will tell you who it is. Thanks to everyone for watching. We will be back next week with another stream of Castle Run.
Nice little cliffhanger.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye.